of the region. I'm Jim Deedlow, and we're here on the morning show, but we're going to start out this week starting out with high school basketball, and let's get right to it. I was at the Lake Central sectional for Class 4A, and that was a Morton victory, 49-45 over the Highland Trojans. And as you guys well know, we have picked it up in Facebook Live video. It's kind of a historic moment, and that for all these years, 90 years, we have done all the games in radio. We cut a deal with a number of people actually in the potpourri here, and that would be the IHSAA, the Region Sports Network, of course, WJOB. Then we had to get all the schools on board. That would be Lake Central, Hammond Civic Center, Whiting, and Chesson. And we were able to pull off last night. We had tens of thousands of people viewing these games. And so let's get right down to it. Ryan Walsh was out at Whiting for the Bishop Knoll game. And you started that game out, Ryan. Who won that first game?
Bishop Knoll took down River Forest 68-61. Great game from Bishop Knoll's Brandon Scott. Back-to-back games where he finishes leading the team with 24 points. And a lot of credit goes to River Forest. They got beat up pretty good in that first time they played each other back in January. They got beat by 19 points. Coach Melenkoff, they had a solid season. They ended up going 10-13. Tough way to get a draw against a bitter rival. And it was back and forth in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then Knowles really settled down. Or actually, I should say that River Forest went cold, and Bishop Knoll did just enough to keep the lead in their favor and hold on down the stretch, making some free throws as River Forest started to shoot some threes and not making them.
Bishop Knoll, as who they were led by who?
Brandon Scott.
And he had. Do you remember how many he had around?
24 points exact.
Brandon Scott had 24, and Bishop Knoll will move on to play who on Friday?
Bishop Knoll will play Whiting at 6 o'clock.
All right, so we'll have BNI versus Whiting, and you'll be able to watch it right here on Facebook Live. Of course, right now we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, but just for the games, this historic way of doing it, we took it to Facebook Live, and you guys really responded last night. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Bishop Knoll and Whiting in Class 2A on Friday night. Ryan Walsh will be out there. All right, Ryan, what do we have in the second game last night?
We had Gary Roosevelt in Lake Station. That was another close game. It was a 4-point game at the end of the first half. And then in the second half, a lot more height, and it took into favor for Roosevelt. Roosevelt did a lot of rebounding on the offensive end and on the defensive side of the floor, limiting Lake Station to one-and-dones on missed shots. And Latrell Williams is the leading scorer for Gary Roosevelt last night, 20 points. And they had 4 players with double figures in all for the Panthers. And they ended up winning by 17 points. Lake Station just went ice cold in the fourth quarter. It was close. They got it down to 6 points or 7 points in the fourth quarter after Roosevelt went on a run late in the third quarter. But they just couldn't get it going late. Dante Long had 16 points in a losing effort for Lake Station. Lake Station had a great year. They beat some good teams around the area this year, but they just got the wrong straw in the draw this year in the first round.
And Lake Station moves on to play who on Friday night?
Gary Roosevelt will play Andrean.
I mean Roosevelt. Roosevelt will play Andrean. So you've got a really good lineup there on Friday at Whiting. And if you're thinking of coming out, that's an excellent doubleheader. BNI and Whiting don't like each other, and Roosevelt versus Andrean. Do we have a highlight from this?
Yes, I got one for Sam. It's a missed opportunity for Bishop Knoll. They got an offensive board, and Brandon Scott put it back with the three-pointer.
You'll be able to watch this, and you'll be able to listen to it. And Sam's going to play it for us right now. This is BNI and River Forest.
Pulls back out to reset the offense. 30 feet from the basket, being hogged by Mosqueda. Scott had space, puts up a three, hits the three. You can't leave him open. Mr. February.
Hit some, Ryan, you had John Pagatti with you. Nice shot there. This guy kind of flipped it there. You can see it on the screen.
I had Dan Repay.
Oh, you had Dan Repay. That's right.
And Brandon Scott, I said Mr. February because he's averaging over 20 points a game this month. I mean, the kid is a really talented player. He's going inside. He's going outside. I mean, he's got a lot of length. He's very versatile. And I think when you have him on the team, he's only a junior. got a lot of opportunities ahead.
Did you have another highlight, or was that it?
That's just it for
that
right
was
now.
it. Okay, so that was Ryan Walsh. He will have BNI and Whiting and Roosevelt and Andrean on Friday night. And then Ryan's going to switch with Sam. Sam's going to come in here and tell us what happened at the Hammond sectionals. But out at my sectional, when I was out at Lake Central, I only had one game. I'll have 2 games tonight. And the game was Morton beating Highland 49-45. And, it's kind of odd because Highlands started out, they had a 9-point lead in the second quarter, but I think we'll play the very first, the beginning of this, and that's when Tyler Branken hits a 3 to open up the game. Let's see it right now, Sam Michael.
Highland gets the tip, and it'll go into the backcourt to Raul Maldonado, a 5'7" senior. Man-to-man defense now by Morton. Top of the key, looking for a little bit of high-low as pulley blank. Ball gets down low to Nichols Thompson. Long 3 is put up and in by Tyler Branken to start the game.
That's the way you want to start if you're Highland. Look at Highland after the made. They're going to do a little bit of full court press.
So that was Dave Kuziak joining me, and you could watch those games on Facebook Live. It's crazy the interest that has come on these games, and just join the 5,000 other people that watched it overnight. And that was the beginning of the game. And then I cut another one. I forget exactly what this is, but I think this is when Highland goes up by 9 in the second quarter. And it looked like Highland was on their way to, having a pretty doggone good game. Let's hear it, Sam.
Oh, he could be a factor.
I think if you're Scott Lush and the Morton Governors, you need to get the ball down a few times. Try to start working it down low a little bit and take advantage of that size.
It'll be pulley blank with the ball. He gets it on out front to Morinville. Morinville over to Scheidt. Scheidt, beautiful. Earl the Pearl puts it up and in, rolls it in left-handed. That is Thompson.
Yeah, that was actually Thompson, Nichols Thompson, Scheidt, Thompson, pulley blank. And there was one other guy for Highland kind of looked the same. But it was Thompson going to the basket. And at that point in the game, it was Highland up 21-12 over the Morton Governors. They controlled the tempo. And they controlled, you see it's a low-scoring game, 49-45. Highland would have kind of preferred that, and they just were playing some nice half-court basketball. Highland giving a little bit of pressure and forcing some turnovers on the Governors. And it looked as if, really Morton just didn't have anything. They came back in the second half on Hines. Hines had 20 points, and I don't have my notes, but the other guy had 15 points. And here we go, right at the end. It was 47-45, and Highland went down and tried to score. And this is what happened right near the end, and kind of just was a punctuation mark on the game. Let's hear it, Sam.
What you want to do is get dribble penetration.
Yeah, so it'll be Highland they have the ball, and they're going to try to score to tie or take the lead, and it doesn't work out.
You can get beat if someone hits it with time running out.
Maldonado backcourt with the ball, 15 left. Gets it on the right side to Morinville. Morinville goes to the basket, puts up a floater, misses it, and rebound. Morton, and coming the length of the floor and putting it in and jamming it home for the Morton Governors is Keon Lane as he puts an exclamation point on the victory here for Morton.
There it is. That was Keon Lane. That was the other guy. I think Lane had 15 and Hines had 20. So that will set up the East Chicago Central Cardinals and the Morton Governors at 6 p.m. Let me write that down. So it's EC Central and Morton, and that'll be at 6 p.m. on Friday. So who will be in the second game on Friday? Of course, that'll be the winners tonight. Now, I'll have these games. I'll have Lake Central coming in at 12-12 against Crown Point at 11-12. So you get CPLC tonight. This should be a hard-fought game. And then you have the Lowell Red Devils at 11-12 taking on the Munster Mustangs at 16-6. And on paper, that is Munster with be the favorite in that. But Lowell's been playing well of late, as Lowell has wins against EC Central. They beat Rensselaer Central. They beat Hebron. They beat Morton. And so they had a 4-game winning streak going right into the end here till they lost to Crown Point right on February 23rd. So Lowell has also beaten Highland, and they beat Michigan City Marquette, and they beat Westside, they beat Hobart, they beat Gavitt. So it's a Lowell team that we should have two pretty hard-fought games this evening, and I'll be on the call for both of those. And I got to tell you, it's just that the evenness of all of these sectionals just can't be overstated. So if you were thinking of doing anything, tonight's your night. As you've got Crown Point, Lake Central, and Munster Lowell hitting it. Yeah, come over here. I think he wants to put us on that one. And so I'll be the only one going here in Lake County. But in Chesterton, we'll be picking up the Region Sports Network's feed, and we'll be sharing that to our Facebook feed. Sam Michael, big night last night.
No doubt about that. And had a couple of good ones over at the Civic Center where we were. And the place is beautiful. I mean, I haven't been there since the sectional championship of last year. So I wish we, like we said yesterday, utilized it more, but it looks great. And second game, we had a decent crowd. The crowd got a little bit better for Griffith and Lighthouse, but we had two good games nonetheless. No matter how many folks were in the stands, we had a good number of people watching it. I do hope the crowds get a little bit better, but the games themselves were very good for sure.
We had 12,000 people watch that game.
We did, and
that's just we didn't know what was going to happen. I did not expect that for any game this whole tournament, and there it is.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if weird is the right word, but it's almost a flip of the coin, a roll of the dice to kind of see which games are going to get the best views. And we think, okay, Munster LC, that should get great views. Then you'll go out there and you get 3,000. It's like, what the heck? Well, then you do a Gavitt Clark game and you get 5,000. You do a Griffith Lighthouse game and you get 12. So our audience is a lot of the Hammond folks, the Griffith folks, the Gary folks, and they like to watch their teams play. And it's the folks who may not even live in this area. You see people posting class of 70 what, class of 80 what, and they're out there posting and they want to watch, even if they don't know any of the players. They see that uniform, they see that school and those colors, and they're interested right away. And I think that's what we see a lot of with those schools.
He is Sam Michael. He had the Hammond sectional. And, Sam, you started out with the 6 o'clock game, and tell us about that.
That was actually, it turned out to be the better of the two games, kind of surprisingly. I was a little bit worried that it was going to be, two teams that combined, I believe, for 7 wins this year, 7 or 8 wins. Both had 4. I think one might have had 3. Either way, it was right around 7 or 8. And you're like, what are we going to get out of this? You never really know. They played a close game earlier, but it was low scoring. It wasn't the case yesterday. Both teams were just out there to just say, hey, you know what? Our season's going to go till Friday. We're going to be the team that has to try and pull off a miracle against Hammond High on Friday, and we can see if we can do it. And they were just chucking up threes. They're moving the ball quick, and it was pretty good basketball. I mean, what did this final score? It was in the 70s, I think, and that's pretty good for
Clark was able to take Gavitt. I was a little surprised at that, and I think a lot of people that watched thought Gavitt would be the favorite there. So Clark comes out with the winner out of Robertsdale. Who did well for Clark?
Jeremy Shannon. He is the guy who's, I guess, the straw that stirs the drink, whatever cliche you want to use. And I'm a little bit surprised going through the numbers the last couple of days that he only averaged just over 12 a game. And I'm thinking, well, Clark's not a great team. Maybe they put a lot of pressure on him, but I still thought he'd be around 17 or 18 points per game because I've watched him the last couple of years doing the announcing on the PA for Highland. And Clark has always been in the Highland Holiday Tournament, so I'd got to see him up close for 2 or 3 games every single year now for the last couple of seasons. And he's a guy who is a great athlete. He's only right around 6 feet tall, but he can dunk with ease. He can sky for rebounds. He can go to the basket. He can even shoot it a little bit. But I was a little bit surprised by those numbers. But, when you're surprised like that and think he's not having a great year, he goes out and scores 28 points. And
28
points.
No
surprise,
Jeremy Shannon was able to put down the Gavitt Gladiators. So Clark will play Hammond High on Friday.
Yes, they will at 6 o'clock. And that's, I don't know if that game might turn into a blowout. Hammond, I'm sure, would love to have that happen. But Coach Pagatti and I just kept talking about it. You get a tournament setting like this, and a team on a neutral court on a regular, February afternoon might be a 15-point favorite, but all of a sudden when you put sectional in front of that word or postseason or Hoosier hysteria, you can probably cut that in half at least, and that's what we think is going to happen Friday.
It's weird. We were talking. We're doing all these games on video, and they all came off last night. We had a little bit of buffering from Hammond, but not too bad. And we look at it and we go, all right, what's going to be the good games? And you want to know something? There's no way to pick because Clark Gavitt was a really good basketball game last night. You guys could go watch it on the WJOB feed. The game I thought would be the game of the night was Griffith Lighthouse. Griffith looked pretty good last night, huh?
Not early, though. It's been a historically slow-starting Griffith team, and I was going through some of the comments after. I usually do especially if we get a good number of
And
comments.
by the way, that is part of the entertainment.
It definitely is.
It's a lot of people, and
yeah.
you're like, dude, that guy's watching the game, and so you can watch the Facebook comments as you go along.
Yes, and sometimes people have their own conversations in the comments, which is funny for us. But I usually go through it to see if I mispronounce anybody's name, see if I'm being called an idiot for calling somebody by the wrong name. That's the biggest reason I check. But I was going through it, and somebody mentioned that Griffith, they always start slow, and I'm like, that's right. And they did it last year, too, in the sectional championship. If you remember, it was the same kind of deal where Lighthouse came out there, the late Marvin Ray at the time, and his team came out and just blitzed Griffith. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? Griffith's going to get run out of the gym when everybody thought that they were going to do the same thing to Lighthouse. Well, Griffith came back and won that game in overtime. I don't know if it was overtime, but it was a close game at the very end for sure. And yesterday it was 20-6 right off the bat. I'm like, wow, Griffith, I know they got a tough road, but are they going to be done here early on? No, they didn't. They went on a big-time run. I think it was a 13-0 run before Lighthouse ended up scoring again. So before the first quarter was over, it was 20-19, and then Griffith would really just in control. Once they figured out how to beat the pressure, it was all Griffith from that point on.
Griffith plays who on the late game on Friday?
West Side, and that's going to be tough.
Griffith. So what we have is, let me figure this out again. That's so the first game is Clark, Hammond High.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second game is Griffith and Westside. All right. Do we have any highlights on this, Ryan?
Yeah, I got one. Funny enough, not from the Lighthouse game. There was some bigger plays in that one, but the biggest play of the night to me, and congratulations, Dan, we did not know this until after. In fact, Leonard from your class pointed this out to me, that George III, who was very emotional after the game, a 4-year player for Coach Demos, and that was his last game, it turned out to be, went over the 1,000-point mark, and one of those baskets that helped him get to that 1,000-point mark was at the very end of the first quarter, and it beat the buzzer. In fact, he let it go with about 2.5 seconds left, and you're like, what's this guy doing? But it turned out to work here.
All right, let's take a look at it. This is George Tucker, and right at the end of the first quarter. Hit it, Ryan. And
I got the ball knocked out of bounds.
That's John
Some of our
Pagani, by
many
the way.
great sponsors, Albert's Jewelers, Hammond Machine Works, NWI.
I may have put it a little bit back further than it should have been.
All right, so we're going to watch him work the ball around. Here it is.
We're sponsoring here tonight. McClinton, baseline for Jones. Jones working off the backboard. He was tipped. Jones tipped it to Tucker. Now 3 seconds. Tucker will fire from half court, and he hits. George Tucker having himself a game already in the first quarter.
Yes, he is. Unbelievable. Great shot. Looked good from the start. And another bank-in three-point shot for Gavitt to give him the lead.
I got to tell you, that wasn't half court. He was in the back court.
Yeah, about 3/4 court, yeah.
That was about 3/4, and he shot it early, and he hit it in there. So George Tucker went over the 1,000-point mark, hits a 2 third-court shot, but his Gavitt Gladiators go down to Clark, and was a hard-fought game at the Hammond Civic Center.
It was. It was a tough game for a couple of guys, McClinton and George Tucker III ended up playing their last games, and you could tell at the end when it started to set in. In fact, both of them fittingly and ironically, I guess, fouled out of the game, and it was tough. But congratulations to Clark. Coach Hill in his first season endured a lot this year. Obviously, knew you were going to kind of be undermanned a little bit, but exciting things maybe for them. They're going to lose Shannon after this year, and not to look ahead too far, but they've got a couple of freshmen who are pretty exciting. One of them is McGee, who is just a 6'6" guy, and he's got the length, and it's like, all right, this guy might be something. They got a freshman guard who had 4 or 5 threes from the corner. Darius Ross is his name, and you just think to yourself, maybe Clark could be a player next year.
And that's we haven't heard that in a while. Hey, guys, I'm going to reset, and Sam is going to get us going on the regular show. But tomorrow, again, early at around 5:30, 5:35, whenever we can get it set, we will do the same thing. We'll go through the games. Tonight, I'll be on the call with Dave Kuziak from Lake Central High School. And, of course, that'll be Crown Point. Lake Central gets going at 6 o'clock. And then it'll be Lowell Munster around 7:30. Don't miss it. You can watch it on Facebook Live. Be able to listen to it here also, Ryan? Yes, I believe we'll be able to listen to the games. We're going to do bounce coverage between Lake Central and Chesterton, as our friends at the Reason Sports Network will be out there doing those games. So a lot of basketball, and we will open up the show again tomorrow with some video highlights. All right, guys, let me reset, and I'll get you back to a regular radio show right after this from St. Catherine Hospital.
family history of heart disease or diabetes, St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
Giovanni's in Munster, Northwest Indiana's premier Italian cuisine. Come enjoy our expertly prepared veal, steak, seafood, and other Italian delicacies. Experience over 20 years of entertainment with our piano player Jack every Friday and Saturday evening in the lounge. And join our VIP or e-rewards on your next stop in. Host your special event, shower, or celebration in our back room. Giovanni's is located at 603 Ridge Road in Munster. Call 836-6220 to make a reservation. Check out our menu at giosmunster.com.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
Hey guys, what's going on? AM 1230 WJOB. All right, we got some traffic out there. I got to get to it, guys. By the way, I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. And late night for basketball. We got another late. I have another late night tonight. These guys will be off. And so just stay with us and watch the games, man. I can't believe how many people watched the Griffith game last night. And you guys can go see some of those highlights yourself. It came off. You never know. We were at 3 sites simultaneously. And a couple of hiccups, but it came off. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. All I have is a tight spot at the Bishop Ford for, I don't know, just a short period there, maybe 111th, 103rd. But other than that, looks like it's moving along well. Skyway Total, Borman look good. Now, I have everything looking good, but we need to talk to Big Rich and to Royce. Let's start out with Royce on local 599 phone line. Royce, how are you this morning?
Not bad, Jeb. How are you?
All right, what do you got?
Northbound Klein, when you get off 94, right where it splits to go south on Klein or north up to the mill area, there's a spun-out truck there blocking the northbound lane.
Okay, so northbound Klein, so that's kind of between the Borman and 169th.
Like if you're coming off 94 from eastbound.
Hold on a second. Yeah, from eastbound. Yeah, okay.
Eastbound 94.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, westbound 94. My bad. If you're going west 94. Get off on Klein right there, where it's. Right on the ramp.
Oh, it's on the ramp. It's not on not on Klein. All right, so on the ramp from westbound, which is easy. You know how I do that? I always say, all right, am I going toward Illinois or am I going away?
Right.
So going toward Illinois, and there's that big swooping ramp. I think it's 2 lanes. So is that a truck spun out? Is that is it causing a backup?
Yeah, it was getting pretty hairy. I had a semi behind me that I had to get in the right lane. Guys, you really can't see it. Then everybody's getting to the left to go around it, last minute. So I imagine it's going to get pretty bad.
Royce, where do you head to? What town?
East Chicago.
So you're going up to the mill or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going up to the mill. You know that road well, and a lot of people come out from the east and from the south. So be careful, guys, coming around that corner because it's kind of a quick and it's kind of a dark corner, too. So nobody slam into the guy that's having trouble on the right lane. Thanks a lot, Royce. Have a good day at work, buddy. Talk to you.
You too. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Big Rich. Big Rich, how you been?
Been doing well, Judge. Yourself?
Doing all right, man. A lot of basketball. Griffith looked good last night.
Yeah, like you said, a slow start, but they have to stop that because one of these times they're not going to be able to make that comeback. So. You
know what? They've got a tough one on Friday night. Ryan, who does Griffith play on Friday night?
West Side.
West Side, yeah. You know what? If you start slow against West Side and all of a sudden it's 20-6, you may not crawl out of that hole. So Griffiths, I don't know what, and that's been for years, even under Gary Hayes, man. You know, for whatever reason, you'd go out to a game and they could be down 10 to 12 in the first quarter, almost invariably. So what's going on?
Hey, didn't Griffith lose a close game to Westside earlier this year?
Ryan, did Griffith lose to Westside already once? Ryan's going to look that up. I mean, Sam's going to look that up. But that sounds familiar. That they lost it was right at the end too. So,
yeah.
Hey man, you got to go to the you grew up in Hammond, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, not too far from the Civic Center, right?
Too far, right here on Jefferson, right by the Blue Wallace School.
You know, they redid the floor there, and then they did some cosmetic things. I don't even know what else, but they painted a bunch of stuff. And Civic Center looks really nice now, man. I mean, that brand new floor, you could just tell the difference. It was kind of dusty, and it just needed. And then they redid it they redid that floor just a couple of months ago. It's as good. I went out there and was running around a little bit as we were setting up the other day. It's as good as it comes in the region right now. You need to get your butt out there.
Yeah, Friday night looks pretty open for me, so looks like I'll hit both of those games Friday night. I think in a few weeks, Ryan and I will be wrestling at the Civic Center. I think we're going under the name of Thunder and Frightman.
Okay.
And Ryan will be Thunder.
Okay, and you could be Frightman, and I don't know where that came from, but it is just a visual I can't get out of my head. And if MX winds up doing a meme of you and Ryan wrestling, I'm not sure I want to see that.
I hope he does. Anyway, traffic. So early enough where I said, I'm going to take the freeway today. So I went down. I went down to the Bishop Ford, which was wide open. It slowed down only started around 103rd, just lightly, and on the south end of the Meg Ryan, and all the way up to Comiscular Park, it was about 31 minutes. So pretty easy trip in. I'm sure in probably another half hour or so, it's probably going to get dicey.
All right, man. So right now, if somebody was leaving from Griffith or Highland, would you tell them to go the freeway or pay the money?
As of 10 minutes ago, I would say yes. Save your money.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Big Rich. Always good hearing your voice.
All right, later.
Talk to you. Local 599 phone line. Speaking of MX, how you been?
Well, pretty good. We'll talk about dirt bikes, but let's talk about the important thing. Like Trump says, you'll get tired of winning. I looked 2 different links, and it was on the news. Judge Curl okays wall, and he's in front of the Trump prototype walls giving a thumbs up in MX cartoons. How about that? You know, at least this judge honors the Constitution. The wall, he's not going to block the wall like he wanted to.
You know, I saw that this morning, that Judge Curio was in the news. And what do you think this means, MX?
It means the wall's going to go up. I mean, no matter the differences, it's kind of honorable now for the judge. No matter what differences they had, the judge went by the law to build the wall for the safety of the Homeland Security. You know, there's a mayor. It's about Homeland Security and about the, protection of our people. And the cost. The cost is over $100 billion a year for illegals. And the wall's only like $15 billion. And ICE is doing a good job. Trump is doing what he promised people. Let's go to that point, Jed. Trump promised to get rid of Trans-Pacific Partnership. I know you hate that word. First day executive order, he did that. Trump promised to lower the corporate tax because we had the highest corporate tax in the world, 38%. He lowered it 21%. So, and now he came through with his wall. And
let's talk about that for a second. Hey, let's talk about that. Are you calling it a victory to have the largest one-day wealth shift in American history to basically give the richest the rich an amazingly large tax cut Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company, had a $28 billion windfall. Who do you think makes up the difference on that? We still got to pay our bills in America. If all of a sudden you say Warren Buffett, you get to pay $28 billion less. Who makes up that difference?
Okay, now like you talk, Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, and J.P. Morgan Chase is going to have private sector insurance. So what happens, I think, guys like Jeff Bezos end up becoming a humanitarian, like Joseph Blockadian. Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett got so much money that they want private sector insurance. I know you know that. And private sector insurance is probably way better than Obamacare.
Well, my point is that MX over the years, as talking as a steel worker and a union guy and looking out for the average worker, there are many who look at what is going on right now. It's a wealth shift. And we have been moving in this country toward creating a situation where more and more money is aggregated at the top, and the average man and woman that drive around really don't move forward on their economic lifestyle. And we really haven't moved forward by many measurements since the 1970s. But the folks in the top 1% have, moved forward exponentially. That was accelerated by Donald Trump's tax plan. I just want to know how his tax plan looks out. I understand that people are getting tax breaks, and that it is especially large tax breaks for the richest people. I just want to know how that's looking out for the average person.
Okay. Mattel, if you could go back to the Northwest India Times, he heralded Trump for the lower the corporate tax. Two things. Trump helped my pension both ways in the steelworkers with the repeal of Trans-Pacific Partnership, and cannot compete in inland steel with a high corporate tax. So if my boss Mattel says it's good for the company, what Trump did and U.S. Steel did too to lower the corporate tax, I gotta believe in Mattel.
Hold on a second. You're talking about. Hold on a second. You're quoting Lakshmi Mittal, Mittal, the Pakistani guy from Luxembourg, and so you're saying that Lakshmi Mittal is speaking for the average American worker. See, here's the part I don't get. I understand that it is good for many businesses to get a huge tax break and to basically borrow against our future, which is what we're doing. Okay, we're borrowing against our future. We are saying, you know what? Don't pay as much on your credit card right now. Since you got a lot of money, don't pay as much. And what we'll do is we'll just issue some more bonds. We'll get some more bonds in the Treasury. And because you're going to have more money, we're hoping that you will put it into the economy and make it better. And that's what we're doing. I don't get it. We have mortgaged our future, and then many people come up to me and say, "Oh, well, he's helping the common man with this." I'm like, all you're doing is, if you did that in your family, you'd be broke. You'd say, all right, I'm not going to pay on my credit card. I'm actually going to borrow more money right now, and then I'm going to have this cash, and then let me try and see if I can't put that cash to work. We made our credit card larger debt, and I don't get it. I'm missing the point.
You're a stock market guy. You know that the stock market went up $8 trillion more into the stock market. When Trump relaxed the rules so people could come back, what was it? AT&T put so much money into it. Apple Computers brought back $35 billion. They're starting tons of jobs, Jed. You can't have all these restrictions.
Hey, I'm good that they're starting tons of jobs. Okay, I want to see it filter down to the average American. We're not seeing that right now. We're seeing exponential growth at the top. And and I know all these people living around you in Hessville, they're not any better off than they were in the 1970s, and in most cases they're worse. And that is what I see. I got to go, MX. Got to hit some spots. A lot of folks have signed up, and one of them is Rush Radio Surgery, and they're on the west side of Chicago. They're sponsoring this segment of the WJOB's JED in the region here. And if you know what? somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, it's a tough time. And you got to go where you know that they are world respected. And we went up and met all the people in the Rush Radiosurgery lab and all of the machines, and we took a look at it. You know, it's not only that they're high-level research, they're just flat-out good people.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
Vito's Pharmacy, VJ Damasha signed up to sponsor the basketball. I had him in here yesterday, and we talked about his expansion of late. He's on, I think he's in 4 locations, 2 in Hammond and 2 in Highland.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy. Eduardo's Natural Pizza in Munster has built a reputation for serving the finest Chicago-style stuffed pizza, loaded with fresh and natural ingredients. Not interested in stuffed pizza? Eduardo's has the best thin crust pizza, appetizers, salads, pastas, and more. Pick up a half-baked pizza from Eduardo's to take home and bake at your convenience. It's the perfect solution for those hectic nights. Eduardo's is located at 7920 Calumet Avenue in Munster. Dine in or carry out by calling 836-2010.
Winter weather got you down? Wish you had a brand new SUV with all-wheel drive? Come check out Napleton's River Oaks Honda, Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Honda CRVs and Pilots. You can also check out the 2018 Honda Accord. Need another reason? How about a free smartwatch with a test drive? But hurry, this offer won't last. Come find out why you'll get our best deal at River Oaks Honda, right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
Must be 18 years or older with valid driver's license. Limit 1 per household. No purchase necessary while supplies last.
622 in the Calumet region. Let's take a look at traffic once again, and it's brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. Very good people. You just heard their spot right there. They got a lot of stuff going on here as February closes down, and I believe this is the last day of February 28th of 2018. Been a crazy month here at WJOB, and really the biggest thing of the month happening right here at the end. I cut a deal with Bobby Cox and the IHSAA to get all of the as many as we can get done of the high school basketball sectionals on Facebook Live. Some amazing response both in the business community, which is very surprising, and also in the people watching the games like last night. Ryan texted me last night. He goes, I played 52 spots or whatever during his game, and he goes, you know what, we way undercharged. And I'm like, you know what, so what? These people took a flyer, and they said, hey, we'll take a shot. And, they probably got all their money worth last night. Everything else is gravy. But it's a pretty big deal for us, and we just ask you that you look at the games tonight, as I'll be at Lake Central at 6 o'clock. It'll be Crown Point and Lake Central. Just go on your Facebook feed. And then at 7:30, it's going to be Munster and Lowell. Ryan, can you give me the Chesterton schedule? And we're also going to, our friends at Region Sports are going to be out, and we will put those on our Facebook feed also so you can see those games from Chesterton. And then, of course, they'll go back and forth on the radio between the two sites. And they just kind of go where the action is. Hey, 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland has a little bit of a heaviness from 113th to 103rd. A little bit heavy on the southern end of the Dan Ryan. But as you heard Big Rich say, maybe just right now you might just not pay the money and save the money and go up to Bishop Ford Dan Ryan. It doesn't happen that often. It's kind of Wednesday light. Sometimes when it's decent weather, in late February, early March, late March, you can drive to the city in relative with relative ease, and I mean very much relative. I mean, you're still going to wait in line there at the merge, but much better than when the construction starts in a month or so, and then much better, of course, when there's bad winter weather. So sometimes there's these windows in November, December, and March, April, or February, late February into March. Usually by April 1st, they'll get it going on a lot of the construction. So, and there is plenty of construction planned, both on the Indiana and the Illinois side for next year. At some point, I'll get people in here to kind of map all of that out. But that's where you're just a tight spot right at the merge, but not too bad. Skyway Toll Road looked good. Earlier spin out from westbound Borman, which would be toward Illinois, to northbound Klein Avenue. There's a truck in the right lane. Hopefully they got that off to the right side. I don't see a delay there. But still, I think Royce called that in because he's right. When you come around that curve going westbound on the Borman and you try to swoop your way toward the mill up on northbound Klein Avenue, it's pretty dark there, and it's a little bit of a blind spot as you turn around there. So be careful if you're going that direction. And let's take a look at weather. We had a beautiful day yesterday, just amazing. I went with my daughter. She called me and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" It was 12:30. I was working here. She's like, "Hey, let's go walk around Centennial Park with the dog." And I'm like, you know what? What a great idea. We got out there by 2 o'clock and walked around for an hour, hour and a half. And I can't tell you how beautiful everything is after you've been cooped up in a studio, cooped up in a building, cooped up in a car, cooped up in a winter coat, and you get out and it's 60 degrees and you're walking around with your daughter and your wife, and it was just an amazing experience. Well, you're not going to have that today. Mostly cloudy today, a shower, mild. Yesterday, sunshine will be behind a cloud for a good portion of the day. And then tomorrow, same thing, rain, quite a bit colder tomorrow. Gets breezy, windy, rainy, wispy day tomorrow. So not that great of days, although it's kind of mild today. And then by Friday and Saturday, cools off. But, hey, the sun comes out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as you get highs in the 40s. Weather this morning brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum of that fine union. Thanks a lot to the laborers, to the carpenters, to the iron workers, and to the electricians union in connection with their electrical contractors. They've all stepped up in a big way. And Ryan Riethel is the head of the American Heart Association's big gala coming up in April. And he is the head over at the electricians union on I-65, between Mississippi and I-65. And he is working with Ronnie Ware of the Ironworkers Local. They're in two places. They're in Portage. There's their main office. And then they've got the big training facility in Lake Station, an amazing training facility, by the way. And I did a video out there, and 5,000 of you watched it. And just go to our video feed and type in Ironworkers, and you'll be able to find that. And Ronnie Ware and Ryan Riethel are working hard on the American Heart Association. They actually have two things. They have one more casual get-together, and then they have the Heart Association's big gala. And I think WJOB is going to be part of that, and I'll be attending this year. I think in the last in the past, we have maybe just kind of maybe bought a sponsorship or did something, and I didn't go. But this year, I think I'm going to head out with all my union buddies running it. Why not? At least I'll be able to swear openly with the union guys. Sometimes you get into more polite crowds, and I can't bring out that construction/board of trade mentality, which allows for an F-bomb once in a while to slip out. Can't normally do that when you're wearing a tuxedo, but if you are with a bunch of union guys, it's kind of expected. Anyways, let's take a look at where we're going in terms of news around the Calumet region. And this is brought to you by RushRadioSurgery.com. You know, I got a couple here. There's a kind of weird little little mixture of things that are going on. Let's start with Judge Curiel. Now, Judge Curiel grew up in East Chicago. He went to Bishop Knoll. And then he worked around here, I believe, as a prosecutor, or I don't even know, but he was in the Lake County court system for a while. And then he went out to California. and his sister was the ambassador to Belize, and she's a Purdue professor, and I see her from time to time. But kind of a weird thing, they have stuff that goes on at the university here, and Chancellor Keon invites me, and mostly just so that Alexis will come. And we get invited to these things. And we got one coming up on Friday. It is Founders Hours. It's actually on the Westville campus. I'll be going out there on Friday afternoon and then coming back and announcing 2 basketball games. So I guess we're kind of ingrained here. But Chancellor Keon asked us to come, more Alexis than me. But I got to tag along to just a, 6-person lunch with Judge Curiel about a month ago. He was in to get an award from Purdue Northwest, and he gave an amazing speech, which I got to tell you, I had asked, if he minded if I Facebook Lived his speech, and he just kind of shook his head. Well, I don't know. And so I didn't do it. I wish I would have, because it was amazing when he talked to a packed house over here at Purdue Northwest. Judge Curiel's a big deal. And part of the reason he's a big deal is he bucked Donald Trump in 2016 in a big court case, and Donald Trump had some choice words for Judge Curiel. So it's a bit of a surprise. It's an upset victory for the Trump administration, as here's the headline. Trump once called Judge Curiel a hater, but the judge now sides with him in the border ruling. A federal judge in San Diego ruled Tuesday that the Trump administration did not abuse its discretion in waiving environmental laws in its rush to begin border wall project in Southern California. This is an order that gives a green light to current and future barrier construction. State of California and a coalition of environmental groups sued the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, arguing that the government had overstepped its bounds using a law to avoid complying with those environmental regulations for 3 projects. Now, they were building 8 border wall prototypes on Otay Mesa and replacing existing fencing in both San Diego and Calexico. Now, Judge Curiel ruled in a 101-page order. That's a long... He must have been writing it when he was in here, when he was in Hammond, that the law does not violate the Constitution, and it gives the Department of Homeland Security wide discretion when it comes to border security. He declined to rule on other claims, but he did give them that, and that's a bit of a surprise. And the ruling comes more than 2 weeks after all sides argued the case in a federal courtroom in San Diego. So 2 weeks ago, they argued, and 2 weeks later, he issues a 101-page order. That's a region guy going to work. And the case has garnered special attention because of Curiel's touchy history with President Trump. Curiel presided over 2 class action lawsuits against Trump University and ultimately approved the case's $25 million settlement. Early on in the litigation, Trump on the campaign called out Curiel for, quote, his Mexican heritage, suggesting the judge was biased against him because of Trump's strict border views. Curiel at the outset acknowledged the political dissensions over the border wall and hinted at the extra scrutiny he and this case are under, but stressed that his decision here does not and cannot consider whether such border barrier plans are, quote, politically wise or prudent. So when Curiel was here, I asked him, I said, hey, how about an interview? What do you think, pal? And he's like, nope, judges can't really, I guess they can talk to the media, but really about not, they can't talk about their cases. But he didn't want to talk at all. He has not talked to any media, San Diego, national media, and of course not to WJOB. So I can just tell you, I met the guy, reminds me, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like a supervisor in the mill. Kind of a Hispanic guy, about 59 years old or something like that, gray hair. A little bit more mild-mannered than maybe your average floor supervisor. So maybe he would be working in the office or no, I know what he reminds me of. Exactly. if you go into the research facility over here at ArcelorMittal, I took a tour recently, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. The guy who runs it actually went to Gavitt over here and grew up right behind the station here, and I forget his name. But you go over to the research facility, and there's like 4 or 5 guys that look like Judge Gonzalo Curiel running around. National, right in the middle of one of the biggest national issues, like a historical issue. One day you'll be reading about Judge Gonzalo Curiel in the history books, and here he is growing up on, I forget what part of East Chicago. All right, what else is going on? I wanted to bring up a story that I thought I was going to rant about here for a minute, but I don't think it's going to happen because it's changed. And that is the story of a Valparaiso University basketball player. I'll just tell you what the Times says. Valparaiso University basketball player Micah Bradford will not face felony counts after following a weekend arrest on allegations of possessing marijuana. He's a 19-year-old guy who was booked into Porter County Jail on Saturday night by police on proposed felony counts of obstruction of justice and maintaining common nuisance and, of course, a marijuana misdemeanor account. Remember, marijuana really is, I mean, you can say what you want, but it's a misdemeanor now. And, you know, other than in like child custody cases and so forth, you know, it's really not big a deal anymore. So Porter County did what they do, and they came up with a felony count of obstruction of justice. Now, this Bradford is he's in a heap of trouble for allegedly smoking some dope with a guy by the name of Nayla Bush. Evidently, they had somebody called the cops at 9:12 on Saturday night and said they smelled something coming out of an apartment. And Valparaiso police went and got a search warrant after smelling burned marijuana. And after no one answered the door, Bradford and Rush claimed they knew nothing about any marijuana use. And police said they found a bedroom window open and 2 small bags of marijuana on the ground outside. Now, of course, the kid's suspended right now. So I guess the part that I got out of this, I'm like reading this. All right, so one of the players is smoking some dope, and of course, what an idiot! Doesn't he know it's Valparaiso, Porter County, that some self-righteous neighbor is going to call and turn him in, and his season's going to be ruined and perhaps his career. If you want to smoke dope, don't go to Valpo, okay? Really, I mean. I don't even want to go into the history of Valparaiso. Don't go smoking dope in Porter County, because here's what they did. So evidently the guys are smoking dope and they're like, dude, what are we going to do? So they open the window and they throw their weed outside. Small bags, little bitty. So it's not like they're dealing or anything. And so Porter County gives them an obstruction of justice charge. And I was just wondering, and I'm going to put that out to anybody in the legal community. Is that normal? If you show up and you bust some guy for smoking weed in, say, Lake County, and, instead he had thrown his weed out the window, and you find a couple joints laying on the ground or a little bitty bag of weed, and anymore they sell these little bitty bag of weed, and do you put a felony obstruction of justice on him? As a matter of fact, I used to drive an Impala. And there was a couple people that lived on a place outside of Bloomington, Indiana. And I love this Impala, but it looked just like a cop car, right? So I hadn't seen these folks in a long time, and they're kind of hippie people outside of Bloomington. And they didn't really know. They knew I was in town, but they didn't know I was coming over. And so I pull up. It's got kind of tinted windows. I bought it off an old guy, but for some reason he had tinted windows in it. And I pull up, and Alexis and I and the kids are in the car, so we can't see inside. So I pull up, and I pull up a little aggressively. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I pull the car up into the driveway, and I come up, and I just said, instead of knocking, I'm like, let's just walk in. And the kids are walking in, and I hear the toilet flushing, and I go upstairs. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He goes, oh man, I thought you were a cop car. I had a little bit of weed, and I was flushing it down the toilet. You know what? In Valparaiso, that would be obstruction of justice. So anyways, I just bring that up. There's a different, just being around too many lawyers in my life here, I noticed the difference in the legal systems in Lake County. I can't imagine any municipality or Lake County sheriff busting some guy for weed and he threw it out the window, and then you bust him for obstruction of justice felony. But in Porter County, that's how it goes. As a matter of fact, let me just do my soapbox right now. I got a daughter in New York City that has migraine headaches. Marijuana helps, and she can get that marijuana in New York City. She can't get it here, so my daughter's not coming home. It's one of many factors, but it is a factor. And I just wonder when we're just going to figure it out in America that we spend so much money and so much time, and we partly create the Mexican drug cartels by just making it an illegal thing. Just get it out of the way, and people don't have to go busting folks for obstruction of justice. They're just smoking a little weed, and then they're going to be facing an obstruction of justice. Believe me, this isn't helping recruiting for Valparaiso University, which could certainly use it. All right, we got another one here, and I wanted to get through this. I know people are calling, but I have a message from St. Mary's School in Griffith, and I'm going to tell you about it. Yesterday, or this would have been, what's today? Wednesday. So Monday at approximately 2:35, a student informed me, and this is from the principal there, or from Mrs. Maskovich. I don't know what that means, but it is that one of the classmates told him he was going to bring a gun to school. He was questioned by officer of the police department, Marlene Startsovitz of the police department. She questioned the students and then took him to the Griffith Police Department. He has been withdrawn from St. Mary's School and will not be allowed on school grounds. So this is the third possible gun incident in Griffith. So if you just want to review, we had the young man, 18-year-old, that went to Griffith last week, I believe, with a gun in his pocket, forgot about it, told the school resource officer, and they took him to the county, and they were going to charge him with felony. He just wanted to take it out to his car and put it in his car. And so I think they might have backed off on some of those charges. Then you got Taryn Dillon, the former Griffith basketball player. He's in a heap of trouble for driving from Indianapolis to Griffith and shooting a video in front of the school, talking about shooting up the school. We had a woman on yesterday who said her son was friends with Dillon and that it was some sort of creative joke. And so we don't know where that one's going. Now you have news that perhaps the folks in St. Mary's and the Griffith police were dealing with a possible some kid saying he might bring a gun to school. So I don't know what you do with all that other than we had a very lengthy discussion yesterday with Verley Suggs, and many of you called in about guns and schools, and really that's kind of the big topic right now, and rightfully so, after the Parkland, Florida shootings. This was not good news. I saw this last night, and I'm like, really? Some kid said he might bring a gun to school in St. Mary's, and now it's going to be, what is that? Why would a kid say that? And if he's saying that, do you have to kind of say, all right, now we got to keep an eye on him? I don't have any answers for you. We're in the middle of high school sectionals, one of the high point here for WJOB and high school basketball, and we're pretty, really kind of enjoying that high. And you've got some other stuff that is not a high at all. It's actually kind of, call it a buzzkill. And I think I'll just end with that and start afresh here on the other side of the break. Thanks a lot to the Ironworkers Local 395.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
What gets you fired up when you think about college? Explore your roar at Purdue University Northwest. With 2 exciting campuses in Hammond and Westville, more than 70 areas of study, and NCAA Division II athletics, Purdue Northwest offers it all at an excellent value. Learn more at pnw.edu and apply today. That's pnw.edu. Join the pride at Purdue Northwest.
Did you know that Hammond, Indiana is having their first annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 17th at 1 p.m.? The parade route extends from 173rd Street in Kennedy to 161st Street. Please join us. We are going green. And don't forget to stop in at Freddy's Steakhouse, located at 6442 Kennedy Avenue on the corner of 165th Street, for a special appearance of the Shriners Pipes and Drums at 4 p.m. Stay for dinner. We'll be serving corned beef and cabbage and a green bar. For more information, please call Freddy's Steakhouse, 219-844-1500. Hammond's St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 17th.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 646 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. And what do you got, Sam? Give me a highlight from one of these games. You got anything? Yes or no? Yes. No? Yeah, just play a little something. We got games all over. We had 5 basketball games on Facebook Live yesterday. And Sam has, we just play those randomly as we come back from breaks. And here's one now. Take it. Here's
keep attacking the basket, not go side to side.
Griffith and Lighthouse. And
Maloney trying to get around Riley. He draws the foul call.
I tell you, Tyree Riley has been sort of, Graylin Gordon threw him on him here now in this quarter to try to deny him the basketball and try to be a little pest just like he is. And both of them get a little shoving match right now. Be a good sophomore against the senior right now.
Great change of pace there. Able to free Mays in the corner. This shot's no good, but an offensive rebound comes all the way out to Glass. His three-point attempt is also missed, and Iwinski's got it. Cantor.
So
For some reason going back.
That's Griffith with the ball. And you know what? Give me 1 second. I want to give these guys some directions on this. I'll be right back.
Say you don't need no diamond rings, and I'll be satisfied. Tell me that you want the kind of...
Hey, guys, 648 in the Calumet Reads, and I said I was watching the highlight there and had to give them directions. That's for breaks only, okay? Let her know that. Yeah, okay, so good enough. What else do we have? All right, let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good up until Cicero. You saw the look on these guys' faces when some Beatles came on, because we can't play that during the show or they'll take down my video here. So it was a very short one. Hopefully we're good on that. And 294 around the city looks pretty good up until Cicero. Then it's a little heavy. 80, but it's moving. Don't worry about it. You're not too bad going to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford really is lighter than normal still. is you don't really hit traffic or stop and go until 115th, and then it's tight through the southern end, maybe to up to 95th, maybe to 87th. And then it opens up, and it's really actually kind of light up by Jane Byrne comparatively. The Skyway and the toll road look good. Borman I-65 Klein Avenue had an earlier thing. That has been cleared out. So traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at what's going on in the weather, and this one's brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. If you need electrical work done, have a union-based electrical contractor do it. High at 48 tonight. Right now it's 48 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It's going up to a high of 56, mostly cloudy, a shower. And then down tonight, it gets down to about 41, some rain and a thunderstorm late tonight. And then tomorrow, a high of 45, get some rain with more in the morning, maybe even some snow. Then it's just a breezy kind of gray day. And then going forward on the 5-day, you have Friday and Saturday and Sunday, highs in the 40s, and sunny on all 3 of those days. So you get 2 gray ones and 3 sunny ones coming our way. Speaking of Strachan Van Til, $1.69, 73% ground beef right now, $1.69 a pound. And red ripe strawberry, 16-ounce package for 99 cents a package. I don't even know how they do that, but they do. And then one of my favorite, Florida's Natural orange juice is $2.99 each. And that's, to me, it's like some of the best orange juice. And then 7-Up, $2.99 for a 12-pack. Why not? 7-Up, RC, Canada Dry, all of those are $2.99. Go to your local Strachan Van Til Mart. All right, what do you guys want to hit? And here's what we have going on today. We don't have any guests, so I'd like to talk to you guys directly, 219-845-1100, just to review the wins and the games from last night. From Whiting, it was Bishop Knoll 68-61 over Whiting, and they'll move on to play Friday night. No, I'm sorry. Bishop Knoll 68-61 over River Forest. And that'll set up BNI Whiting at 6 p.m. in the sectionals. If you know the history of those two schools, you'll know that you just got to have a couple people, got to have a couple peacekeepers around just in case it gets out of hand between BNI and Whiting. What's that? I can't hear you, but Ryan's going to come in and talk to me in just a second. But BNI Whiting at 6 o'clock, that ought to be good. And then that'll be followed up by Gary Roosevelt and Andrean on Whiting, because Gary Roosevelt beat Lake Station last night. You can watch any of these games on our Facebook feed. Good thing Coos is at Lake Central. That is correct. As a matter of fact, we were talking about that, and I don't know, Coos is only doing one game at Lake Central on Friday, and John Pigotti will do the other game with me. All right, and then to go over to Lake Central, it was Morton over Highland last night, 49-45. Highland's Isaac Sistema did not play, and that may have been a factor. Sistema was the leading scorer for Highland, and they played some good defense. They had a little trouble getting the ball in the hoop. It was a low-scoring game. And Morton, Scott Lush's team, Morton hasn't won a sectional since 1976. Anybody remember the Morton 1976 team? Call me at 219-845-1100, or you could text me to that number. I can't remember. And my dad used to take me when I was a kid to Morton games. So I would have been 11, maybe 12. No, wait, I would have been 14. And I would have been, I probably wouldn't have gone to that. I don't know. You never know. The old man would know if he took me to a game. Morton, 1976 was the last time they won a sectional. They'll be going up again against East Chicago at 6 o'clock on Friday. And then also on tonight, we have 2 games, Crown Point, Lake Central, and Lowell, Munster. You'll be able to watch those on Facebook Live. Dave Kuziak and I will be out there for the call. Ben Cohort and Nick Hedrick are on the production team. And you'll also be able to hear some of that on the radio here as we'll bounce between the Valparaiso sectional or the Chesterton sectional and Portage opens it up, right? Portage and Valpo open up. Don't count Portage out. I mean, they've clipped a couple people. On paper, that one looks like Valpo is the big favorite. And then at 7:30 tonight from a beautiful Chesterton High Gymnasium, it is going to be, who's the second game out there? Michigan City and Hobart. So you got Michigan City at Hobart at 7:30. So we'll bounce between those games. Lake Central tonight is the big one, and the sponsor of that section is Spike's Lakeside Inn in downtown Cherville. What once was an East Sider is now a Hoosier, and there's a special word for that. It starts with an F and ends with a P or a B. It's either fib or FIP, whatever one you want to do. I preferred fibs myself. But you know what? We accept them because they open businesses and they support local radio. Spike, how are you, buddy?
Hey, good morning. I just want to commend you and the Coos, man. Had an opportunity to watch the game on the Highland game on the iPad, and great color and great after show interview. And I want to commend you guys. You guys did a fantastic job. You really impressed the heck out of me.
Well, thank you. We are blessed to be on the campus of Purdue Northwest, as we have most of the reason that we're able to bring these games like this is students that have come out of the broadcasting and the communications over there. One of those is Ben Coert and Nick Hedrick, both coming out of Purdue Northwest. They put those games on last night. Coos and I just kind of joshed around on the phone. But I got to tell you a story. My guys are like, hey, where are we going to eat on Friday? And I'm like, well, let's go to Spike's in. Well, we'll meet over there at 3 o'clock. And Kuziak turned his head. We'll go to Spike's on the way in. And then I thought about it, Spike. I can't bring Kuziak in there before the game, and you know why.
We're serving till 9 p.m., Jim, so you may want a late dinner with him.
No, I'm not going in there and then Ben, you know, the guy just out of Purdue Northwest, he's a grad student over there. He's like, well, why don't you want to go before the game with Kuziak? And I'm like, they just started laughing like you did. And he goes, oh, okay. And I've done that before, Spike. It's not, it's not professional and it's pretty. And both me and Kuziak don't really have a lot of discipline. So we will not be coming there on Friday. But what will you be serving? I mean, we might be coming after the game. But what will you be serving on Friday?
Well, we have our regular full fish menu, but we also have grouper and tuna as a special. And we have our regular walleye and perch and smelt and shrimp. We have a full fish seafood menu, plus regular ribs and chicken and bone-in ribeye as a special. But, I totally understand your situation, Jed, and I appreciate your professionalism. Business comes first, pleasure is after. That was one of my dad's famous things. When you go to work your hardest. When you go to play hardest. But don't when you're supposed to play and don't play when you're supposed to work. So I totally understand your position. I really appreciate your thinking of us. But, again, I just wanted to comment and commend you guys. I was really impressed on the color and the knowledge of the players and the after-game interviews. You guys did a tremendous job, and I'm just glad to support you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Spike. We appreciate it. I mean, you guys didn't know what you guys were getting into. We were just, we just got this deal done late with Bobby Cox, I did, and, one quick phone call to you, and you were in, and that was basically how it went to all these guys. And so you guys are getting some good value, but part of that is right back at you, Spike. You had to take a flyer with us, and I appreciate it.
Anytime. Best. Have a great day.
Talk to you. 6:58 in the Calumet region, yeah. So typically what I would do in the past is I did the East Chicago sectional, and I didn't mind it because I would be kind of on my own. You do a lot of driving around, and you do a lot of going to the different sites and checking them out. We were at Hammond High yesterday in the morning. Thanks a lot to Matt Markham for helping us out, and Mark Hines with the City of Hammond's Park Department, and they got us all set up. But I would typically go to Taco Riel on the way out there, and I'd run into Golombek and Tauber, and I'd stay away from them, and I'd go sit at the back bar, and I'd eat. But I go there a lot to eat. If you go into Taco Riel on a Tuesday, chances are I'll be there for lunch. So I'm okay going to Taco Riel and not having a beer because I do it a lot. and I know I'm going to the East Chicago sectional, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very difficult to go to Spike's Lakeside Inn in downtown Cherville with Dave Kuziak on the way to a game and sit there and, just eat some food and have a Diet Coke. So we won't be going, but you should be on your way out there. And I do want to say thanks to all of our sponsors that took a flyer with us. This is an experiment. I wanted to experiment. I wanted to learn on a number of levels. I'll tell you what the experiment is. One is that I wanted to see, my theory is that millions of dollars are spent out of Lake County and Porter County and the south suburbs across the state line, the close ones, Lansing and Cal City and that, to Chicago television. Now you think, well, where's all those millions of dollars? Well, it's partly a lot of the chains. You get a McDonald's are running their spots out of Chicago television. Toyota. I mean, some of them are brands, but the brands and the businesses, they take their money to Chicago television. My theory is that over time, to create something that reaches critical mass, the local media are going to have to work together to divert some of those dollars and keep them here locally. So I'm like, all right, I'm ready to collaborate with other media. So Chris Ramirez at Region Sports and I got together, and Ryan Walsh and Nathan Laird, his guy, and we cut a deal for them basically to do the Chesterton sectional, and we'll do the 3 Lake County sectionals. And it's working out great. So we'll carry their coverage tonight. And so that's one of them. The other one is I wanted to see how it was to actually work with the IHSAA, and it's a little bit of a stickler. It's not as hard as dealing with the NCAA, and I was able to get it done with a very short phone call with Bobby Cox and myself, and so that was kind of cool. And Bobby's just like, all right, Jim, whatever you want, do it. We'll do it, and we'll go forward. Let's see how it works. So it was good to see that there's interest there. And quite frankly, I wanted to see what kind of interest there would be in the high schools. And Ryan Walsh was telling me that he got treated like a king out last night at Whiting. I know we got treated well out at Hammond because I was out there yesterday with Mark Hines and walking around with Markham. And the Civic Center welcomed us with open arms. And then I got to say, Chris Einhart, the athletic director out at Lake Central, and their whole team, man, they just rolled out the red carpet. And not only that, they had a really good hospitality room. Took our cameraman and our video guy. At one point, I looked over and like, hey, let's get going. And they both got these massive sub sandwiches in front of them from the hospitality room over there. But all these places are working well with us. So that was another part of it. The other part was I was like, do the business community pay for video? And I can't believe how the business community has come out and has supported this. And I'll read the sponsors here in a second. And then will people watch it? Last night, I think total, can you give me a total on the day? I got to believe we reached 30,000 people viewed those games last night. So anybody who signed up on this list I'm going to read already got their money worth in one day. And Community Healthcare signed up as the main sponsor. And then BP and NIPSCO. Both as kind of co-sponsors, putting forth some money so that we could pay the rights fee and get all this done. Also, Albert's Jewelers and Fred Halpern and Machine Works, Hammond Machine Works, that's Pete Naw. Building Trades, Randy Paul Mateer, and Vito's Pharmacy, VJ Demasius, they are also in on the team. Hassey Construction, John Salzider, attorney at law. Matt Maloney, the local realtor. Micka Cabinets, Wayne Micka, Shanahan Insurance, Staff Source, Miracle Marriage over here, Tauber Law, that's Jared making the decisions now, not Rhett, and that is City of Whiting is sponsoring the Whiting sectional, and then of course Spike's Lakeside Inn is sponsoring the Lake Central sectional. So thanks to everybody who stepped forward on that. There's some other experiments that I'm doing also, and one of those is that my sports broadcasting class at Purdue Northwest is coming out tonight, Friday, and Saturday to help with the sectionals and to learn how to operate cameras. And then they're also going to do some announcing. And so I've got 10 broadcasting students, and all of the sites were good about letting them in for free. Ryan had Robert Aguirre last night helping. And then Sam had Brittany and Leonard out helping him. at the Hammond site. Tonight I'll have 4 students with me, and you will hear some of them on the broadcast. I'll work them in with Kuziak. We have 2 long games tonight from Lake Central. I'll work in my students, so they seem to like it, and the initial feedback I got from last night is they're pretty excited about it. So talk about experiential learning. They're learning right on as being part of the WJOB broadcasting crew, and I got to tell you, we don't get we are at 29.4 thousand views from the basketball yesterday. So, that's just a crazy thing. All right, let's get to some of the stuff happening around here locally. I started talking about Judge Curiel. Judge Curiel makes a surprise decision. He's, of course, a region guy. He's a federal judge. He has ruled against Donald Trump before, and Trump said it was because he was Mexican. And it is, of all people, Judge Curiel that has cleared the way to build the wall. As he was presiding over a case, the Trump administration needed to bypass some environmental laws to get this done. And Curiel ruled that the administration did not overstep their bounds, and it's being hailed as a huge victory for the Trump administration. Once called a hater, is now going with the Trump agenda, and he prefaced that in his ruling, saying that it really shouldn't be a political decision. It's just how the law says. And the law is, according to Judge Curiel, is going to let them start building parts of that wall in Southern California. You guys got any comments on that? How does that affect us here, other than it's a local guy making that decision? Is it what happens if the wall starts to get built? Is there an anti-Mexican vein in America right now, and it's coming out in the just the kind of standoff between Judge Gonzalo Curiel and President Donald Trump? I don't know. I don't know where that one's going to go. Valparaiso player in Porter County, he is charged with 2 misdemeanors, but they pulled back the obstruction of justice charge against Micah Bradford. And he's a 19-year-old guy who was booked into Porter County on misdemeanor marijuana, but also on felony obstruction of justice, because he threw the weed, or they're saying that he may have thrown the weed out the window as the cops were coming in. And so they gave him a felony obstruction of justice. And here we go. Here's a text that I got. Jed, get off the soapbox about Valpo and Porter County. Lake County would bust everyone for that if they actually cared to stop crime. So I get your point there, and thank you very much. MX sounds like a Republican. His kind are who elected Trump. He believes his rich boss, but not his union. And thank you for your text, and you can text anytime at 219-845-1100. All right, that's one of there. I wanted to hit that. Now, I wanted to talk. I mean, we started to talk about this yesterday, and I got 2 more stories along the same vein. We started to talk about threats and possible guns being associated, or possibly shooting up schools in 4 different communities. That was Griffith. There were 2. Munster at St. Thomas More. There was some sort of threat. We don't know what it was. One in Gary, where a 14-year-old in Lake Ridge, Calumet Middle School, had made some threats. And then the other one was in Porter County. Was it Chesterton or Portage? I think it was Chesterton. Well, now we got a couple new ones here. This one's Portage. A 14-year-old middle school student was arrested Monday after he allegedly held a knife to another student's throat. It happened on a school bus transporting students home Friday afternoon from Fagley Middle School. Police were not called to the school until Monday morning. So, student, he was transported to Porter County Juvenile Detention Center and faces charges of intimidation, criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, and some other charges. And on school he initially pulled his pants down to expose his underwear, while on what students described as a rowdy 3-to-a-seat bus, He then allegedly displayed a knife and, when told to put it away, held the blade against another student's throat. The victim told police he froze and felt the blade on his skin. The boy eventually pulled the blade back and laughed. So other students said the teen laughed and said, "Don't mess with me, I can stab you," before putting it to the throat of the other boy from behind. I was very scared, the witness said. And in another one, I got an email here that went out to, as far as I can tell, went out to the parents of St. Mary students in Griffith. And, of course, there's already been a couple of incidents in Griffith. And this one is right here. They're saying that a kid may have, and this is all alleged at this point, may have said he was going to bring a gun to school. And according to reports that I got here from St. Mary's, it looks like, is that the police were called, the kid was pulled out, and that there was some validity to it. I don't have any more on that right now, other than this coming out of St. Mary's saying this might be a good opportunity to have an age-appropriate conversation with your child about safety and being aware of things that are going on in their world, because believe me, things are going on in their world. I can't imagine going to school these days and thinking about in the back of your mind about, well, gosh, really, somebody could come in here and just start shooting up my school. Really, I mean, do kids think that forward? Yeah, of course they do. And then you got knives. You've got threats of shooting up schools. You've got kids saying they're going to bring guns to school. What's the answer? The Times tries to answer it. They did a pretty good story here today, and I was looking at this. And if you look at one of the issues here that Carmen McCollum takes, she asks the question, should teachers be armed in schools? Most Northwest Indiana teachers and school leaders and some students told the Times that they think it's a bad idea, Donald Trump's idea, to put guns in the hands of teachers. But some region parents sided with Trump, believing the measure could make students safer, especially in cases of mass shootings. Donald Trump proposed arming and teaching firearms use after 17 people were shot at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Trump, who said he supports the National Rifle Association, spoke in favor of its position to train and arm some teachers. Echoing the comments of teachers across the region, Hanover Central High Spanish teacher Steve Gusta said, "I could not do that." What do you guys think? I haven't even thought about this. Do you put guns in the hands of teachers? Do they bring the guns into the classroom? And then what's the practicalities of that? Where do they hold the guns? Where are they kept? Are they loaded? Under what circumstances would teachers be allowed to bring the gun out? What kind of training would they have to have? And how many guns per school? Can a teacher have more than one gun? Could they wear it on their ankle? I mean, you have all of these questions. And then the question is, like, what is the effect on the kids? Like, if you know your teacher has a gun, do you handle things differently? What about, you talk about students that go, most of this has been students that have come back to their schools and shot them up, or somehow it's been young people. Now, if you're bringing all these guns into schools, what about teachers going a little bit haywire and just shooting people up? I don't know. I don't have an answer to this. On the surface, it doesn't sound like the greatest of ideas. Typically, the answer to a gun problem from the NRA is more guns, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case here, of bringing all these guns into the school. But on the other side, if you wanted to shoot up a bunch of people and you wanted to shoot up a bunch of kids, you're going to have a pretty good idea that other than maybe a cop that might be roaming the grounds, no one's going to have a gun. No one's going to be able to shoot back at you. So you're going into an area that is not protected. Do we want to change that dynamic around, or do we want to protect that? I don't know the answers to that. Do we start putting metal detectors into our schools. Would that help? Is that just a minor deterrent? I like to think of things in percentages. My wife's like, sometimes I'll bring up something, well, why don't we do that? And she'll go, that's not going to make a difference. I go, well, it might make about a 10 to 12% difference. She's like, why do you got to do that? Well, that's kind of how I think. Well, if you put a metal detector in there, could it provide some deterrence? Would it provide 100% deterrence? Absolutely not. Would it have 50% deterrent effect? Maybe. But then again, do you have to have all these kids walking in and out of the school, out of specific entrances and exits, and they got to go through metal detectors, and then all of a sudden they got stuff in their pockets, and then you got to bring them around. It's like, it'll be like getting into Midway Airport at 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving. Kids, they have to go through. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling what's happening right now in America with all of these shootings and the kids at schools and all this violence and threats of violence right here in Lake County, Indiana. Honestly, I don't get it. But I'll tell you what, once in a while, I just got to go to Theo's and not think about it.
Theo's Steak and Seafood sets the standard of fine dining excellence. Delicious USDA prime meats and steaks, along with the freshest seafood in the area. Celebrate your special event with friends, family, and associates in our private dining room that can seat up to 125 people. For information, call 838-8000 or theoshighland.com. Also visit our other restaurants, Prime Steakhouse, Umi Sushi and Lounge in Crown Point, and Ted's Family Restaurant in Calumet City.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffin. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
I enjoy watching basketball at home, but I think we should go over to Johnny's Tap in Munster for drinks and fun.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Speaking of fun, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
Mr. Who and Mrs. Who?
Mr. and Mrs. Fun, but they're at Johnny's Tap.
Okay, I'll see you there, at the corner of Broadmoor and Calumet Avenue.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Johnny's Tap. New ownership, now smoke-free, and still the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
A real neighborhood type of place.
Ogren Insurance has been serving the area since 1947 and provides insurance for life, home, auto, business, and more. If you're looking for one-on-one service, the best rates, knowledge, and experience, Ogren Insurance is your agency. Our number one goal is to provide you with the coverage you need at the most competitive price. To learn about the insurance solutions and services we offer in Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or see our website, OgrenInsurance.com. Ogren Insurance, 6929 Holman Avenue in Hammond. Accidents happen. Be protected with Ogren Insurance.
This is Rick Kubik asking you to join me in the front room Fridays, 2 p.m. Central, and I promise you'll never find lint in your pocket when listening. Right here, WJOB.
This is Dr. Michael Mintz, a big IU alum and sponsor of IU Sports on WJOB, and you are listening to WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana.
Speaking of basketball and Michael Mintz and all that, we have the Big Ten tournament starting on tomorrow, So Big Ten tournament will be running all day here on WJOB, and it will conflict a little bit with our sectional basketball schedule, and I don't know exactly how we're going to do that. It depends. Part of the problem is we're looking at a possible Purdue-IU matchup on Friday night from Madison Square Garden in New York City in the Big Ten tournament. Ryan, what are you going to do on that? What gets precedence? Do we got to run the Purdue-IU game, or do we run? We're going to run sectional basketball, I guess. Ryan says. All right, that's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at traffic and so forth this week. Typically, I take a day off in the morning, one day during sectionals week, but I don't know as if I necessarily have that option this week. Ryan, if it's going to happen, it's going to be tomorrow, because on Friday, Hammond and Mayor Tom McDermott and Ken Davidson and maybe a couple other people are going to come in at around 7:15. Did you talk to the mayor about this? They're going to come in around 7:15, and they're going to get their head shaved on the air here. And the mayor already put out there on his Fund Me page, if you want to raise some money for Hammond and Mayor Tom McDermott to get his head shaved for St. Baldrick's, he's going to do it on my show on Friday morning. Ken Davidson's going to get his shaved. Tony Ponick, who has hair that goes all the way down his back, he's got some long, 70s rocker hair going, along with rather like blotches of scuzz hair on his face. He's going to clean up entirely, and he is the pride of Roxana and Purdue Northwest Broadcasting Department. He's going to get shaved on 3 o'clock on Saturday at the Cavalier Inn in North Hammond. What is that? Is that Goslin and Baltimore or something like that? But anyways, right off of Calumet Avenue in North Hammond. So a lot of people are getting their head shaves, but on Friday, sometimes I would take that day off during sectionals week, because I'll be out there doing 2 games tonight and 2 games on Friday night. And on a stroke of luck, the Bodines are coming Thursday to the Memorial Opera House in Valparaiso, and my insurance guy got us a couple tickets to the second row of the Bodines and Memorial Opera House in Valparaiso. So Alexis and I will be taking the one night off this week that I have and using it to party in downtown Valparaiso. So knock, knock, who's there? That's what you get. You get a rag doll this week, and here we are. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west, and looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford is tight from 111th to 103rd, but really not too bad otherwise. It's just lighter than normal. Really doesn't hit until the merge. Skyway and Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. What do you have in terms of the weather? Brought to you this time by Carpenter's Local 599, right across the city here in Hammond. They've been around since 1899 here in Hammond, and they've just been a big part of it. They continue being a big part of what we do here in Hammond and the entire Lake County and Cook County, Will County area, and that they are a big sponsor here of what we've done. And, of course, these studios are built by Union Carpenters. High at 55 today. Right now it's 48 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It is 48 degrees at Local 395 in Portage, and it's 49 degrees at Local 41 in Munster. Mainly cloudy and a mild shower in spots today. Gets up to 55, 56 degrees. Then it gets down to about 40, 41 degrees overnight, but still kind of rainy, and a thunderstorm late tonight. And then you got thunderstorms tomorrow, high 45, and rain tomorrow, but it might actually mix with some snow. So just kind of one of those days where it feels like somebody's spitting cold ice on your face. And that's what you're going to get. But by Friday and Saturday should be a nice day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sun on all 3 of those days, and highs in the 40s. Bodines. Gosh, I saw the Bodines one time in, had to be the 90s. And I'll just tell you the story. You guys know a lawyer by the name of Jim Rice? well-known lawyer around here. We went with him and some other people, but Rice was there, and getting in the front row it was at the Valpo Gymnasium. You know how Valpo and Porter County are. Couldn't drink you there. They didn't serve any beer. So I had to go out to the car to get my something, and I had to sit in the car and down a couple beers before the concert. Anyways, that's another part of the story. But Jim Rice was there, and I think we had about 8 people went to see the Bodines in the 90s. And I'm sitting behind Rice, and I'm like, man, something smells. What is that, Rice? What you got going on there? Turns out he goes, oh, man, I know what it was. This shirt that it had a big rugby shirt on, it had it on the top of the laundry pile. I bet the cat got on top of it and let go a little urine on it. That's what I remember about the Bodines. Jim Rice got a little cat shower on his shirt, and I was sitting right next to him. But anyways, why don't you bring that up if anybody sees him today? Be like, why did you tell that story? I go, well, I don't know. It's funny. First of all, why are you putting your rugby shirt on the top of the pile when you got a cat in the house? Huh? Anyways, Bodine's coming to the memorial. Evidently, they fixed it up pretty good in Valparaiso. And by the way, here I am talking about all this grayness coming to today. What a beautiful eastern sky right now. We actually had to pull the drapes down here in the WJOB studios because of the brightness that's coming out to the east. There's a bunch of clouds, and I'll tell you what, it is gorgeous sunrise right now. As soon as that gets a little higher in the sky, you won't see it at all. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? It's you and me today, baby. 219-845-1100. I got a lot of stuff on the docket, but really I just want to talk to you guys on 599 phone line. Carl, how have you been, man?
Well, I've been better. I have a little history question for you. You know, they mentioned Clark in the basketball results. Do you know what the actual full name of Clark School is?
Oh man, I've seen this before somewhere. Hold on a second. No, I can't. It's not going to come to me. What is it?
George Rogers Clark.
George Rogers Clark. I knew that too.
Yeah, he was a famous explorer.
I thought he was a hairdresser in the 30s.
No, Lewis and Clark expedition explorers.
Did you go to?
Anyway,
to Clark? Did you go to Clark, Carl?
That's what this is all about. And this is ancient history too. I started kindergarten at Clark in 1937.
You started kindergarten at Clark in 1937. What was that like?
Well, it was hard to explain, but I met the girl of my dreams there in kindergarten.
Did you marry her?
No, we never connected, but
so
she invited me to a birthday party, and I talked to her not too long ago, and she still remembers the gift I brought. My mother sewed her an apron.
Your mother's what?
My mother sewed an apron for her birthday when I went to her birthday party.
Really?
Yeah, she's retired down in Florida now.
Hey, listen, do you remember the day that you went to her party?
No, not really. I do remember the apron, though. It was a heart-shaped apron that my mother sewed. She was a genius on a sewing machine. But the other part of my history there is I was on the wrestling team at Hammond Tech, and my record was and I don't know what. But my best buddy and I were on the team together, and I always used to beat him out to wrestle at 112. And I heard that the guy at Clark at 112 was good, so when we had the tryout for the meet with Clark, I let him beat me so he could wrestle that guy.
You know, what a great idea. You know what I mean? Why would you want to get out and get embarrassed by a guy from Clark? You know what I mean?
Yeah, But the kicker is that I had to move up a weight to 120, and I pinned that guy. And my buddy never let me live it down.
So is that the Tech way? Do Tech people shy away from challenges? Do Tech people not take the honorable way? They lose on purpose? Is that the Tech way, Carl?
I don't know if that was the Tech way, but it just, because I was not very good. I was only a sophomore, and I wasn't really good.
You know what, Carl? I'm thinking about something. In 1937, you went to kindergarten at Clark.
Yeah.
And our own Debbie Wargo went to, I think, 13 years of school there, right? She went to kindergarten to senior.
Yeah, I heard she went to school there.
Yeah, 13 years. I mean, the same building. But I got to wonder, you're going to kindergarten before World War II.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
My wife, God rest her soul, I lost my wife on the 1st of February.
Oh, my gosh, Carl, I'm so sorry. I was going to ask about your wife. I did not know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you mentioned you took a walk with your wife and your daughter. Keep doing it. I wish I had done more walks with my wife.
You missing her, huh?
Oh, my God. We were soulmates. We both had alcoholic spouses when we met, and we said we were soulmates. It was destined for us to meet, you know.
And how long were you guys married?
34 years.
Oh, so it was a second marriage.
Yes.
Well, Carl, you're one of the good guys, man. I'm so sorry to hear that. So,
another lucky thing is my daughter, she's my second wife's daughter, but I call her my daughter. She lives next door with my two granddaughters, so I got a lot of support.
All right. Are you the kind of grandpa that goes up and says, "Hey, pull my finger"?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
No. When they pass me, I intentionally get in their way, and they'll say, "Excuse me," and I reach out and squeeze them.
All right, you got to let them know that you're thinking about them. All right,
Exactly.
Carl, thanks for calling in, and sorry to hear about your wife, my friend.
Take care.
Take care. Local 599 phone line. I got another update here, and this one's out of Crown Point about a bomb threat, huh? They've got child. What is going on at schools, Ryan? Anyways, we'll get to that in a second. You know what? I got to get to it right now, as a matter of fact. Crown Point Police Department update. Crown Point Police Department has filed charges in connection with the February 19th bomb threat to Crown Point High School. Intimidation, misdemeanor intimidation, have been filed against a 15-year-old female. She sent out a text message to approximately 29 people saying, "I'm blowing up the school. This is a threat." The subsequent text message was later sent out from a different number, identifying the person who made the threat as a female student from Lake Central. She had made the threat for a friend who was a freshman at Crown Point, and she was sorry that nothing is going to happen. So somebody texted out a bomb threat from Lake Central girl, and now she's looking at felony intimidation charges. We're also looking into what happened at St. Mary's School, where a kid said that he was gonna bring a gun to school. You got the two other issues in Griffith. You got a big one in Calumet, Lake Ridge Middle School. I don't know what to say. What is going on around here, Ryan? I mean, it's just a heightened. I mean, kids start. Are they mimicking what's going on? I mean, what? I don't know. Let's just talk to Vinny and talk about other stuff. Hey, Vin, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you? Hey, I would like to talk about the Ryan Hartman and Tommy Wingles trade.
What happened, man? I mean, they drafted him in 13, and he was going to be the. Anyways, go ahead. What do you think?
Okay, Stan Bowman came out last week and said, "We're not sellers and we're not buyers." Okay, everybody's staying. Then The situation happened on Saturday when there was a 2-on-1, and Ryan Hartman took a penalty. Nowhere to be found for the last 2.5 periods. And it was just kind of ironic that that he would go ahead and trade Tommy Wingles to Boston and put Ryan Hartman in your own division. Going to Nashville. Last night, Ryan Hartman scored a goal. Tommy Wingles had a multi-point game last night. So I mean, and if they're just going to go ahead and rebuild and not make the playoffs in the first time in 10 years, then hey, that's what's going to happen.
I think this is a quick fix, Vinny, and there's an article in the Chicago Tribune today about the top 5 salary contracts of the Blackhawks, and it's Kane, Taves, Seabrook, Keith, and Saad. And out of those 5 players, the only one that's remotely close to his career average for goals and assists is Patrick Kane. All the other 4 are chumps this year.
Ryan Hartman wasn't on the ice for the last 2 quarters, and then he wasn't at the practice there. Quenneville wasn't happy at all. He's only 23 years old. I didn't realize that. He's been traded to the Predators along with a 5th-round pick, and they're getting a 1st and 4th-round picks, and they're getting Edsel out of the Predators. So I don't know. It's not like they didn't get anything. I don't know.
Yeah, you get a 1st-round draft pick, Vinny, and in NHL, the 1st round, 2nd round, third round, the talent drops off mightily in the NHL. There's a lot of rounds of drafting for the teams. To get an extra 1st-round pick is something that's going to help them out maybe 2 or 3 years, but 4 years, depending on how they do with the draft pick. But Hartman just, he made a lot of mistakes, and that one was a big one on Saturday night. They had won the previous game on Friday night and are trying to get some kind of momentum, and when you make plays like that, you deserve to be benched.
Ryan, you know what? I totally agree with that. And I agree what you have to say because I was reading the article as well. You got these 5 guys, have an NMC, which means a no movement clause. What happens if they don't produce next year? Going into the 2018-2019 season, then what happens? These guys are getting older. They're going to be 30. What happens then? What happens if Stan Bowman is saying, "Oh, every team has a bad year. We're going to bounce back." What happens if they don't bounce back, Ryan or Jim?
That's a great point, Vinny. And look at those 5 contracts out of those guys. I mean, Patrick Kane is 28. I think Taves is 29. But all those other guys, Saad's younger than them. But Saad, I mean, I think out of all those guys, Saad's the most disappointing because they brought him back after a couple of good years and with the Columbus Blue Jackets and going to bring him back with Jonathan Taves. They had a lot of chemistry. Been a bust. They really miss Marian Hossa, don't they, Vinny?
You know what? Sandy is a big Hossa fan, okay? And she said that that's what they really miss when he announced his retirement because of the issue with his equipment. She said that this was going to hurt the Chicago Blackhawks because of what he did on the ice, being a 2-way player, being so confident no matter what they were going through, that he was always on, he would be on the ice, and he made the impact.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you, man. Hossa not just on the ice, but in the locker room, too.
Glue guy.
Hey, thanks a lot, Vinny. That's a big trade. Hartman gone, Wingle's gone. See what happens. Talk to you, buddy. Hey, Ryan Walsh, what's going on?
Well, you wanted me to kind of comment on that Crown Point situation and a couple of things that happened in Griffith before we get into our Johnny's Tap Sports update. It's TV, it's movies, it's here happening in the real world with adults. We don't respect each other. There's a lot of hate. It starts at the top, politicians and all these threats. People don't like when somebody says something, they disagree. They do this, but going down to the lower level, I've talked to a couple of police officers at local games recently, high school games, and what they feel like it's becoming a trend because these kids they don't realize how quick they can be tracked, and they're underestimating law authorities. They think that hey, we can get a 2-hour delay out of this, or we can get a day off of school, and they're not realizing how good surveillance is, and how quick law enforcement agencies are to come and get them and find them out who they are.
Ryan, I'm going to go to a break in a little bit, and I want to do the sports update coming out of the break because I want to hit what you just said. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Here's what I got. Thanks a lot to Ken for sending this to me. All right. So, Crown Point Police Department stationery coming to me. Crown Point Police Department has filed charges in connection with a bomb threat to CPHS. Felony intimidation has been filed against a 15-year-old girl of Crown Point, a 15-year-old student at Crown Point High School. They're saying that she sent out a text that said, "I'm blowing up the school." Now, this is what Ryan's talking about here. This is interesting coming out of the missive here from Crown Point Police Department. And the text messages were sent from 2 different phone numbers and were quickly traced by Lake County Dispatch to bandwidth.com. Bandwidth.com was contacted and advised the numbers were provided by a wholesale company called Pinger Inc. Pinger Inc. makes applications that are used on mobile devices. The applications that they make are used to provide a second phone number on a mobile device in order to keep a phone number private. Pinger Inc. was contacted by Crown Point detectives and advised of the numbers used. They provided the necessary information back to detectives who were able to determine where the threats came from. You know, what is it? Man, you know what? There's nowhere to hide. And why are all these kids making all these threats right now? I don't know. Maybe, of all people, to provide some wisdom on this topic, we've got Mac on line 599. Mad Mac, how are you?
What is up, Jimmy D. Low? How are you this morning?
Doing all right. A little slow from all of the basketball.
Oh, little slow. Did you just refer to a hockey game as an individual player not playing the last 3 quarters?
2 quarters.
What the hell's wrong with you? They're called periods, and there's only 3 of them. So by definition, there can't be the last 3. There's only 3. Are you awake, brother? You want me to bring you a little Dunkin' Donut?
I'm eating some blackberries right now, and as soon as I get that antioxidant going, maybe my brain will open up. But I did say period. And I'm dyslexic. I get that backwards all the time.
Ah, please. That's a terrible excuse you always use, although it's on occasion, rarely it's funny.
Well,
hey, listen, a little tip for the youngsters out there. I want to. Who's the guy who always said that on baseball commentary? A little tip for the youngsters.
Wasn't that? That was Mr. Rogers.
No, it was some baseball guy when they were talking about how to pitch or do this. A little tip for the I think it was that guy from the Sox. Was it Hawk?
Was it Hawk? I don't know. Was it Vin Scully? I don't know. That's the 2 I would think of.
So by the way, your announcer, Sam, easily the best announcer in the history of WJOB. No 2 ways about it. Now, you and Kuziak, you're definitely fun when you have pregame at some local gin mill. Those games are always classic. When I'm watching you 2 guys wrestle each other under the table to find out what chord someone just kicked out when you're in East Chicago and stuff at the table, and Kuziak's up there waving and screaming and yelling at the ref and getting escorted out. There's no doubt you 2 guys as a tandem are as entertaining as can be. But your boy Sam is 3 steps above everybody. I'm just telling you. And I don't give compliments out like anything. He is just that good. He's as smooth as silk. He's got that processor in his little skull that just runs him through any athletic event he's observing, and makes it sound just really good on the radio, no matter how good or bad the game is. Okay?
Well, I think, you know what, you point something out that is, we're pretty fortunate to be on the campus here, and we got Sam out of the Purdue Northwest situation, and I'm pretty happy about the level of quality at all 3 sites last night in terms of all of the camera work and all of the technical work. And of course, Sam's got a natural flow to what he's doing, and it was actually kind of heightened last night. I was listening to some of that on the radio on the way back, and you had Sam and Pagatti Pagatti.
Yeah, that's right. It was Bugatti.
Yeah, Pagatti is the South Suburban basketball coach, but really Pagatti needs to be sending out some tapes during the NCAA tournament. He should be picking up some national commentary because he knows the team so well and he's gotten pretty well. So pretty high level stuff. So I thank you for noticing. So what do you got?
So first of all, let's go with the this bombing stuff. Like I said, a little tip for the youngsters. When you're going to call in your fake threats or text them in, always use a burner phone, okay? Because the kids these days, they're either so stupid or so arrogant that they have zero respect for the law. They fear no punishment, as I said yesterday. How ironic now we got all these things coming through. I just told you yesterday. The kids, there's a particular level of callousness which somehow has seeped in to the youth, probably not only of the region, but of the country, because they don't fear being punished. I couldn't even think to step out of line in grade school or high school, not because the punishment I get from the school, but when that word made it back to my father, I knew the fear of God, I rather would have died on the cross than to have to face the wrath of my father, because he would have had a few simple words to say, and he'd say, listen, the next time it is going to be incredibly regrettable. Do not do what you did, which is why I almost never did anything. Okay? These kids nowadays, there's nothing. Ain't no big deal. Now, the kid who brought a gun to school at Griffith, that's an exception because the kid went to try to say, hey, look, I did the wrong thing. I need to just take it, okay? Heaven forbid now you end up doing the right thing, because now the other kids are going to be taught that, hey, you do the right thing. Well, you could end up still in the same S-boat with these other numbnuts. But these kids, there's just no fear. We need to have something. Let's either Sheriff Martinez, if he's not busy doing his political shenanigans of trying to intercept IP addresses, get together with the principals of every single school and you lay down the law, and then you buy an ad, front page of the Hammond Times. Attention, no more free passes. You make one mistake regarding anything that goes to the detriment of any individual or your school, you are out. You will spend 2 weeks in juvie. Here's a couple photographs of the cement walls you'll be staring at. You can bring your Britney Spears poster with if you'd like. Bring your LeBron poster or your Dungeons and Dragons, little craft token with you. But the way the referees in this area are treated, it's unbelievable, deplorable. I watched this stuff at Griffith, and I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Remember the article the Hammond Times did about 8 years ago? They asked all the football players in the area, where's the best place you like to play and where's the worst place? The best place was scattered. Oh, Lake Central's a nice place. Highland's got a cool place. Andrian, because you're driving back in the Netherlands back there at that field. Where's the worst place? It was 99.9%. Everybody said Griffith, because the way the opposing teams got treated was simply disrespectful.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
And it's all over the region now, and it's just free and easy.
Well, all over the region is right. We've got possible threats and so forth. I got 2 new ones today. Another one coming my way, an alleged threat at St. Mary's School in Griffith. Student told a classmate allegedly that he was going to bring a gun to school. Griffith police investigated, and kid was out. So safety is this from the missive sent out to St. Mary's School families. It says this might be a good opportunity to have an age-appropriate conversation with your child about safety and being aware of things that are going on in the world. What is going on in the world? I don't know. Maybe Gary can make some sense of it. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Hi. Good. Good morning. Yeah, I agree with him. There is no fear of punishment or retribution. I mean, if you look at the court system and stuff, you get sentenced for 10 years. It's automatically 5 years. If you're a good boy and you do everything, you get off in 2 years. And so the thing that happens is people aren't afraid. You go to prison, you go ahead, you have TV, you have Netflix, you have a workout center, you have everything that you shouldn't have to think about your crime or what you did. So it's just a change of lifestyle, an alternate lifestyle change. And so people don't think before they do or commit something, you know, just like the kid in Florida. Okay, he shot up 17 people. You turn around and, well, if you take the death penalty off the books, I'll plead guilty. Oh, you should have thought about that before you went out and you started shooting somebody up.
What do you think? Where do you think this is going, Gary?
I mean, it's always going to be a problem, but until you enforce punishment, until you enforce the books on a crime and make people, you know, you can go to other countries and you don't have this because in other countries, jail is not a place you want to go. Here in the United States, jail is, like I say, it's an alternate lifestyle. It's like, okay, I can do this for a little bit, get out, you know, and it's no problem. It's no punishment. You know, there's no hard labor. There's no taking away of any of your privileges so that you could stop and think. And then, of course, kids nowadays are brought up where they have no respect. People have no respect for other people or authority or anything like that. I'm not saying that you should totally capitulate to full authority, like give in and have the same thing that happened in 1939 with Germany and stuff. But in the same token, you've got to have, you know, there's got to be respect. There's got to be, that's got to be brought back in. And then kids aren't even punished anymore. You know, they, if you do something wrong, oh, that's okay, little Jimmy. You're okay. You know, it's, don't do it again. And there's no crime to fit the time.
You know, it's odd. Over the last couple of days, we started talking about school shootings, and then we've had a number of incidents here in Lake County, 2 new ones this morning coming across my desk. And a number of people have called in and thrown out that word punishment or lack thereof. I wonder if there's a trend here.
There might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a. I'll have to think about it. I mean, I'm looking at this issue. Like the number one question that comes to mind is like how do kids go to school feeling safe? That's where this conversation has to start. I don't have an answer to it. You know, I know a lot of people looking for the causes of what's going on right now. I don't know even if we can get to that until we secure our schools. And
you're right about that.
Hey, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Gary. There it is, St. Mary's School in Crown Point or in Griffith, and then Crown Point High School with the bomb threat or alleged bomb threat. I don't know what you do, but I'll tell you what, we're going to be out at Lake Central tonight doing high school basketball on Facebook Live. Historic, great move forward. Lots of kids getting on the video. Really a positive thing happening here in the Calumet region. I'd like to just kind of deal with that the whole week, but we can't because we paint the world as it is, not as we wish it were. And you know what? There's kids driving to school right now in the back of their mind. Do they feel safe? I don't know. Did you feel safe going to school when you were a kid? Probably. Do they feel safe driving to school or walking to school or taking a bus to school right now? We had the 3 things this morning. We had the knife incident on a bus in Portage. You got the bomb threat in Crown Point. You got the kid threatening to bring a gun to school in Griffith. That's on top of all the other ones we've had in the last week or so. What's going on around here? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I just kind of sit here and let you guys call in and just be a vessel for the information. I'll tell you what, Dave from Gary will make it all right, but I got to play some spots. Spike's Lakeside Inn. Hey.
Once said, the best kept secret in Lake County, Spike's Lakeside Inn 2. Restaurant and bar, Cherville, Indiana. Serving seafood at its finest. Lenten specials, also a full sandwich and dinner menu. Homemade soups with full salad bar. For your adult dining in a comfortable atmosphere, come join us at Spike's Lakeside 2. Located at 21 East Joliet Street, Cherville, Indiana. Next to the police station, across from Town Hall. For reservations, call 322-4444. Serving Thursday through Sunday. Remember, 25% off your dining bill on Thursdays and Sundays. Follow us on Facebook. Hope to see you at Spike's Lakeside 2.
Do you have or are you at high risk for cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD or heart disease? Are you unable to take statin medications due to side effects? You may be eligible for a clinical research study being conducted to test the safety and effectiveness of an investigational medication that may help to reduce the occurrence of major CVD events, such as heart attacks and strokes, for patients with or at risk for CVD who are also statin intolerant. To qualify, you must be at least 18 years of age, have a history of or are at high risk for CVD, have not been able to tolerate 2 or more statins, and meet additional study criteria. Qualified participants will receive all study medication and study-related care from a dedicated team of medical staff at no cost. Health insurance is not required to participate. To find out more and to see if you qualify, call Cardiovascular Research of Northwest Indiana, LLC at 219-203-1990. That's 219-203-1990. Call now. 219-203-1990.
Not only does Catering by Steve's cater for all occasions, Steve's in Hegewisch has expanded their all-you-can-eat Lenten fish fry on Fridays from 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. during Lent. Don't forget trivia every Friday as well. Stop in for some delicious Lenten specials and sample our large selection of craft beers. We also have banquet rooms for your special occasion. Bring your family to enjoy our Easter Sunday brunch on Sunday, April 1st. Call 773-646-1071 to make your reservation. See all we have to offer at cateringbysteve.com, serving the Calumet region since 1958.
Hi, I'm Jessica Wargo, athletic trainer for Community Healthcare System. Athletic training is part of Community Healthcare System's sports medicine program. Our fellowship-trained, board-certified experts are ready to treat the athlete in you. Whether it's pain or injury from activity on the court, in the field, or in your everyday life, we offer services and locations throughout Northwest Indiana. Visit our website to learn more at comhs.org/sports.
Laborers Local 41 proudly represents the hardworking, highly skilled, and expertly trained men and women who work to maintain our local streets and highways, protect and remediate our environment, and build and renovate our schools. Laborers Local 41, investing today for a better Indiana tomorrow.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim T., the host of JED in the region. I'll be on the call tonight at 6 o'clock from Lake Central. That'll be Crown Point and Lake Central. They're both about 500. Should be some good games out there at Lake Central tonight. And by the way, thanks a lot to the Lake Central folks. They are treating us just incredibly well. It's been very seamless, and I just can't thank Chris Einhardt enough. Am I saying that right? Einhardt. Yeah, Chris Einhardt. Let's just go with Chris. And he's the athletic director. He's from, I think, North Manchester, Indiana, something like that. He got the job. He's been there for 3 years. And they have arguably the best facility now. It's not the largest, but it's certainly a lot of room to move around and plenty of good visuals. And Kuziak even also was saying the same thing, and I'll bring Dave in a second. But I'll be out there tonight for 2 games, and you can watch them both on Facebook Live. Also, we'll have 2 games from Chesterton, Region Sports, and we'll put those on our Facebook Live feed also. And once again, thanks a lot to Community Healthcare for being the presenting sponsor of all this. And also BP and NIPSCO for both stepping forward and with the nice downstrokes that we're able to pay everybody and get this done. I thought when I cut the deal with Bobby Cox of the IHSAA that it was gonna cost me a ton. I think I don't think that's going to be the case, and that's very surprising because if you guys have followed the trail of streaming video, it's basically been a losing proposition since we started 6 years ago, and now finally that may not be the case. This actually might be the first project where it didn't cost. Hey, let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop 4, a little bit light. But then the Dan Ryan itself is actually kind of heavy from 55th on in through to the Jane Byrne. So it doesn't matter how you get there, you're going to wait. Skyway Toll Road looked pretty good. Borman looks good. I-65 US 30 Klein Avenue. Thanks to Napleton River Oaks Honda for supporting that. And what do you got in terms of weather? Brought to you by the Laborers Union. 41 of which I'm a proud alum. Still hanging around 48 degrees here in the Calumet region, going up to a high of 55. Maybe gets down to 48 tonight. You might get some late thunderstorms. Tomorrow, high of 45, another rainy day, and some snow late and breezy. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all 3 sunny days and in the 40s. It's hard to believe that today's going to be a rainy day because if you look out to your east right now, it is beautiful sunny morning. I don't know how long that's going to last, but the clouds are going to roll in at some point, and Coos won't be able to put a roof on today. Turn your mic on. Turn your mic on.
It better not happen until after 3 o'clock because we just dispatched everybody.
All right.
We looked at it. We're good till after 3.
Yeah, it looks like originally it was supposed to rain around noon. It looks like it's going to be a little bit later. Ryan Walsh with some sports. Who's it brought by?
Johnny's Tap, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun, 8050 Calumet Avenue. It's Whiskey Wednesday. Taking a look at what's happening tonight. 4A basketball from Lake Central. At 6 o'clock, it's Lake Central and Crown Point. Second half of that doubleheader, 20 minutes after that first game, will be Munster and Lowell. From Chesterton tonight, Valparaiso and Portage at 6. And then 20 minutes after that, it'll be Hobart and Michigan City. Notre Dame preseason All-American Bonzie Colson returns to the lineup tonight for the Irish after 2 months out to a foot injury. Pittsburgh comes in for a 6 p.m. tip-off in South Bend. Our Big Ten tournament coverage begins tomorrow morning at 10:45. First game of the tournament that we will have will be Wisconsin and Maryland at 11 a.m. 25 minutes after that, it'll be Michigan getting the winner of Illinois and Iowa that play this afternoon. And the nightcap, we'll have Northwestern playing Penn State first up at 5:30, and then Indiana around 8 o'clock. We'll play the winner of Minnesota and Rutgers. Major League Baseball notes, John Lester's named the 2018 opening day starter for the Chicago Cubs. Chicago White Sox prospect and first-round 2017 pick Jake Berger tore his left Achilles tendon and is going to miss the entire 2018 season.
What position does he play?
Infielder. They were thinking he's going to be a different couple.
Where were they going to put him? I didn't quite understand that, where he was going to fit in the lineup.
I'm just letting everybody
know. Put
a
second base, Coos, or shortstop?
Oh, he was a big guy. I don't think he played second, did he? Was he more of a first baseman
I think
or
he
third
was
baseman?
Flipping first and third, that kind of.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe give Abreu a couple days off and let Abreu DH based on who's pitching. But the bottom line is that's difficult for the Sox.
He wasn't going to make the roster this year. But
he wouldn't have?
No, but I mean, the White Sox fans are kind of like the Cubs fans a couple years ago, following Bryant, Russell, and those guys, Schwarber. They're prospect watching, and he's out for the year.
I saw yesterday that Madden was saying that he'll give it a shot for Schwarber to bat leadoff.
He's lost a bunch of weight, and I don't see how he could be he'd have to shorten up on that swing. I don't see him as a number one, but he's trying to get all the bats in the lineup. You realize Schwarber realizes that if he doesn't do it this year, that he's going to get pushed off to the American League and he's going to be a DH. So he looks like he's lost 20, 25 pounds.
They're thinking almost 30.
Serious, and because last year, I mean, he was a regular player. I mean, he hit the ball a mile, but he's in the line. What was the guy from the Sox? Dunn. He's played for
Adam Dunn.
He's going to be like a smaller Adam Dunn. He either hits a home run or he strikes out and he hits 210 and he can't play in the field. When you got all those other people in the Cubs organization, where do you end up in the American League as a DH? And that's a tough call for someone that's that young.
Dave Kuziak, always with an astute observation. What else we got on the Johnny's Tap Sports Update?
Recapping last night's high school basketball games. 4A basketball first. Hammond Morton 49-45 over Highland. Kyrie Hines leads the way for Morton with 15 points. Over at Chesterton, Kankakee Valley gets trounced by Chesterton 92-41. At the Twin Lakes 3A sectional, Davia and Davis's 24 points is the difference in Calumet's 66-42 win over Wheeler. At the Hammond Civic Center, Kyle Owinski, 18 points, leads Griffith past Lighthouse CPA. Jeremy Shannon has 33 points in the Clark victory over Gavitt. And from Whiting High School, doubleheader last night as well, Latrell Williams has 20 points in the Roosevelt win over Lake Station, and Bichneau gets 24 points from Brandon Scott, and they beat River Forest. So Whiting and Bichneau on Friday night, followed by Roosevelt and Andre in 2 rematches.
He's Ryan Walsh, Johnny's Pep Sports Update. Thanks a lot.
Whiskey Wednesday.
All right, hey, let's take a
trivia night too. There, I make many appearances there on Wednesday night. I will not be making an appearance, but when does the Cubs and Sox or same thing like Purdue and IU? When do they play Friday night?
The Cubs, White Sox?
No, the Purdue IU. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Friday night. If the IU beats Minnesota or Rutgers tomorrow night, it'll be 8 o'clock Friday night.
Well, I'm going to do the second game. I'll be done about 9:30, and I'll be making an appearance at Johnny's Tap right as Purdue knocks off Indiana and knocks them out of the NIT.
Well, if they don't beat Indiana, Matt Mag might be right about Matt Painter.
All right, he's Dave Kuziak. Kuziak will be doing the games tonight with me. He'll be doing the second game. That'll be on Friday night. That'll be the winner of Munster Lowell and the winner of Crown Point Lake Central. John Pagatti will be on the earlier game with me on that Friday. Let's take one phone call, Kuz. I want to take Dave from Gary. Jackie has been waiting for a while. Jackie, how are you?
Hi, Jim. I just want to say you're always a fresh breath of air every morning. I listen to you, and I love when you go outside and say big trucks and all beep, beep, I'm a beeper. But anyway, also, I wanted to say that one caller that was talking about going to jail and whatnot, I don't think so. I'm still in a domestic violence kind of situation. But
is there any way to turn that radio down behind you or no?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you got to turn that
right
thing down. Yeah.
Okay.
So all right, go ahead. What were you going to say?
All right, gone. Okay. But you're so nice to listen to from 5:30 to 8. I love it every morning. I listen to you every morning.
I appreciate that so much. I will keep that in the back of my mind that you're listening every day. You know, we've been talking about all of this youth violence and threats of violence around here.
Yes.
What's your views on that?
Oh, well, I put up with it somewhat, but I back down now because I'm not going to sheriff's work release anymore. I even got a letter from Commander Bennett because I was so good, you know.
So you're following the regiment then, is that right?
Well, that was like 4 years ago, but yeah, I'm still going through it, you know, through the home thing. But I want to say I'm more of a baseball than a basketball player.
So is that Cubs or Sox?
I'm a Sox, South Side.
There you go, girl.
Hey.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, good hearing from you, Jackie. Thanks for listening, like always.
Thank you for talking to me.
Talk to you. There it is. Dave Coos last night. Morton Highland, your call, your views.
I think that it really is foreshadowing to what I think almost every game in that sectional is going to be, and a lot of the sectionals. Very few blowouts last night. Anybody could win. And I'll tell you what, in that 2A Friday night games, I know a lot of people think that it could be a matchup of the Bishop Noel Andrean. I'll tell you what, I saw Bishop Noel play Whiting. That's going to be a tough game at 6 o'clock. And if people think that Andrean's going to walk through Gary Roosevelt, they got another thing coming. That 2A on Friday night is going to be a grudge match. And that's going to be one of those things of who has to exert the most energy. We've seen that. How many times have there been a slug match on Friday night and you see who's got the legs left the next day for a championship game? But you have to get through Friday. And I think the Lake Central, first of all, you have to give big kudos to, and I'm not sure exactly why it happened. Some people say it was Pete Turkovich's rant against the IHSA and calling the officials racist after last year's loss at the regional, that they took the section away from East Chicago. But I'll tell you what, no disrespect to my good friends at East Chicago, and we've done many a sectional game at the Brado Center. Lake Central is a nicer facility. It's a newer facility, and it feels a little bit more at home. We're no longer going to put 8,500 people in with class basketball here. I don't see it happening anytime soon. So to put 4,000 or 4,500, whatever Lake Central holds, that's a nice gym. So for those people that are paying additional money in the Lake Central schools, they put the money into the facilities, and you can tell they did a great job taking care of us and taking care of all the fans. There's not a bad seat in the house. I think it's really good. For the people from Lowell, they don't have to go all the way to East Chicago. Why is that fair that they had to go to East Chicago all those years? Lake centrally located for that sectional, and I think it's going to be a 2-year run there, then 2 years at Crown Point. I think it's good for everybody.
I was a doubter on putting it at Lake Central. I had not seen the facility, and I had not dealt with Chris, the athletic director, and their team. And both of those things are A+ so far.
And if they're listening, Jim, they need to do one thing, because here's what East Chicago did very well. East Chicago always had some of their maintenance guys around underneath the basket. And yesterday when a player fell and there was moisture on the floor, they had no one to wipe it up. The guys were actually using their feet, their shoes. You need to have someone with a mop or some towels, because that could get dangerous, especially as we're playing 2 games. There's going to be a lot of moisture on the floor. You need to be ready for that. And I didn't see anyone out there doing that. So if anyone from Lake Central is listening, that's the only gripe that I would have. And that's kind kind of a minor one, but they need to make sure they have someone that wipes the floor down whenever someone falls or, in between quarters because of all the sweat.
Never shy to relate his opinion to the Calumet region. Dave Kuziak, he pays for this time coming up, and he'll be on the call tonight with me for 2 very good games from Lake Central, and we'll be out again on Friday night. Really kind of a historic week. We cut the deal with the IHSAA, and we're putting them all on Facebook. I can tell you this, that when I get home on Friday night, I'm going to watch the Bishop Knoll game on my phone, and when they take on Whiting, that's going to be a great game.
And I'm not. I'm going to Johnny's Tap.
Yeah, but I mean, late at night or in the morning, you're going to want to watch that game the next day. I got my.
We're having a viewing party as one of our sponsors here.
Yes.
Johnny's Tap.
Oh, I know where I'm going after the game. I got you.
Yeah, Purdue's going to be whooping up on IU right when we get there. It's going to be the climax. I mean, that's the best point.
But at some point, you're going to want to watch Bishop Knoll Whiting, and then you don't realize Roosevelt and Andrean aren't too far away from each other, and that's another grudge match.
Roosevelt, if you ask me going into that sectional, Roosevelt is the favorite. I don't know what people are looking at.
Andrean's a favorite.
No, they're not. Roosevelt beat Andrean during the year.
It's
on Andrean's home floor. So now they're going to play at a neutral site? I think Gary Roosevelt's the favorite in that sectional.
Well, you got... Even Whiting, I think, has a shot at knocking off Bishop Knoll tonight.
Whiting was up 6 points with 2 minutes to go on the reunion night at Knoll. Whiting can get up and down the floor, and they're playing on their home floor. That's worth a few points. That game is not a foregone conclusion on Friday night. Both of those games are going to be very good from Whiting on Friday night.
There's good games, and then Hammond, of course, has Griffith taking on West Side in the nightcap, and then the early game is Clark and Hammond High.
And West Side may knock out what everyone wanted to see, a Hammond-Griffith thing, and I know that they weren't able to get it together, both administrations, during the regular season, so wouldn't that be nice if they had to play each other for a sectional championship? But I think West Side's got something to say about that on Friday night against Griffith. I'll tell you that much. And then if they do, I was talking with Coach Hayes the other day. That should be very interesting. I know one thing. If you're a knucklehead and you think you're going to come to the Civic Center and cause some problems, you will not be there long.
And I'll tell you what, that'll be one of the first time on Friday nights we will have 6 games that we'll be doing here, and then Region Sports will be doing 2 from Chesterton. So we'll have 8 games in one night on our Facebook live feed in video. Everybody's winning on this one, but every one of those games could be won by either team.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all 8 of those games, it never happens. Because I got to go.
You got 11 and 12 and 12 against 11 and 12 in the first game. And those are 2 normally pretty good programs. And they play tough schedules, the Duneland Conference. So either team can win that. Munster's probably the favorite in the second game. Lowell's been playing better. They're younger. Who knows what can happen tonight?
He's Coos. I'm gone. See ya.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the